Yeah, when I was going through Portland, man, like you're driving through on the highways and everything, and you're seeing tent cities everywhere, and you're like,
Dude,
this is horrible.
LA
Horrible.
is bad. You know LA's bad when like the homeless encampments make their way into the nice parts like Bel Air and Beverly Hills. Ooh, that's when you know it's bad. Normally they would do
like, it's like at least I would see garbage bags on fucking Seattle. It's like in Portland. I mean, no. Fucking where I was at in LA, it was like, holy shit, is the trash just scattered all over the floor? Like, is it just all over like there's no not trash. It's all over the freeway, the grass, the rocks of the freeway. It's on everything.
Hey, did he just sound like Bill Cosby? All over the freeway.
It was all over the freeway.
So we're just chatting, guys. We're gonna have great guests on this show. We've got Jelani. Jelani's almost home, so he's chilling with us on his way back. We've got Suni, of course, coming up, and Tyler Bluntman's gonna be joining. This is the free speech episode, which is ironic because right now we're being shadow banned badly. So apparently Eric just shared the post, and it's my bad because apparently you're not allowed to talk about things 2 days before Dr. Fauci says something. Because I talked about Omicron and I did the work. I talked to Facebook for 2 hours on a chat, and they said they were taking it all down. They said, "Don't worry, in 24 hours you'll be good." Well, you know what I got? As my dad used to say, "Ugats," which is Italian.
Learned your lesson from what happened to me when the whole coronavirus with the lab.
Jelani, yours is because you're black. Russo is because he's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, let's be very clear. Jelani's like blaming COVID for stuff. You didn't get blocked for COVID. You got blocked for being black. Let's be very clear. That's why we're not allowed.
Being black and not liking COVID.
So yeah, this is what we're talking about today, guys. Again, keep sharing this out. As you can see, we're at a total of between all platforms a whopping 54 viewers. Awesome.
It's not like we're getting restricted or anything.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and share it at the top of the page, and now I'm gonna share it now that we started because that usually does make a difference because Facebook likes to divert people to a different spot. So the main part of today's episode is going to be what is free speech. Before that, though, we're going to talk about briefly about Biden's Build Back Better not moving anywhere. It's not building, it's not back, and it's not better, especially if you ask Elon Musk, by the way. Let's see, the Black Educators Matter package. Shuni's got a killer TikTok showing a woman in California who is black and an educator got a whole package of stuff that they thought black people would like. Super crazy. And then we're going to talk about the main real topic before we get into free speech is Oregon removing math, reading, and writing requirements for its high school students for the next 3 years. We're going to discuss why they did that. And as Nikki would say, please like, share, and comment. For those of you from the Dallas area, make sure, if you haven't already, buy your tickets to the Great American Summit. I'll go ahead and put that up on the bottom for you guys. And if you miss anything that we do, and please follow anyways, because God knows if we can get shadow banned and blocked for posting a 100% factual statement, 100%, we could at any given point lose any platform that we have.
See, Anthony, this is why free speech matters.
Racism.
Kevin, I'm not going to lie. You have no idea how much time and effort I put into our mini spat after last week's episode where you were challenging me on free speech. I have a different perspective on free speech now that I've done the work and done the actual research. Kevin, thank you for making me more intelligent.
Hey, that's
You're already intelligent, Anthony.
How can you say you gained intelligence when talking to Kevin?
I know, seriously, you're already smart. The big mistake you made was like actually talking to me.
Jelani, you're gonna like it. Are you home yet? How far was this 12-minute drive?
Well, apparently, I've been lying to you. Apparently,
he's running
have you heard the myth of Fife? Have you heard the myth of Fife?
The myth of five? No, I've heard of CPT.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Sooney's ears perked up and he said that.
I'm like literally like down the street, but for some reason there's so much construction.
Oh my god.
I'm
Student
so
in the
sorry.
back. When I said
They're not missing much.
This
I'm
was
not
just
even
for
that
Suni in the back.
attractive.
that's funny. No, when I said CPT, Suni looked at me like, "What are you doing?"
I was waiting for it.
Have you heard the myth of fight?
I was waiting for it because I'm like, oh, where's Cash? Like, oh, he's late.
Always. But Suni's on time. If anybody's wondering, Suni is 100% on time. So, Jelani, I'm going to pull you in back. Go ahead and hop on your computer. It sounds like you're home.
Yeah.
All right. Suni, when you're ready to hop on, let me know. Go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share it on the top of the page, and then we'll go ahead and get this episode stiggity started. Kevin, how's the radio show going, by the way, buddy?
Dude, it's going great. Today was day 2, tomorrow is day 3, and the day after is day 4.
How's the girlfriend going?
Okay, we don't talk about
Dude, you sound like you've done too much cocaine for the last couple days. So
I'm trying to stay awake somehow.
I'm hitting to the top of the page and resharing. See if that can make any moves. As you guys can see, we are just chatting to get the show started. Yep. We're waiting for Tyler, and Jelani is getting set up at his house. If you guys are interested, you can see the Let's Go Brandon. What is everybody wearing today? I've got the what is this one? The Hunter's Holiday Spice shirt with the Parmesan cheese. Big Guy approved, number 46. Yep, you can get all of this and more. You can't get that shirt on our website, Kevin. You can't get that one. That's
no,
an eagle.
You can't, but it's an eagle on the flag. It's America as fuck.
You can probably get that at Walmart, I believe.
Actually, I think that's where I did get it.
I would not be shocked.
But yeah, I'm also wearing my Liberty Revolt. Woo! Seriously, everyone.
Can I ask you, does your tag say it's made in China?
I don't know. You read it for me.
Yes, it's made in China.
Yeah.
Obviously, yeah. It's hilarious that it's made in China. No, but for reals, everyone, every morning, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Time, the Liberty Revolt is now a morning show on 1360khnc.com. If you want to hear me talk with Bucky and a bunch of other guests that we're bringing on, please, I am asking you to make the sacrifice on your ears. I know it's going to bleed after a little bit, but...
Well, that'll probably be good timing for Tyler. He'll be on right to talk about free speech, so that works. So yeah, Veronica, you like the Let's Go Brandon Awake Not Woke store, 20% off if you do Omicron as our code, because that's what we do. Y'all are being shadow banned here on YouTube as well. I'm listening notification of midnight. So if you guys are YouTube subscribers and you found us, if you go and hit the not just subscribe, but you hit the bell. You have to hit the bell on the screen in order to make sure you get our notifications. So, all right, let's go ahead and get the show started. Suni, you ready to kick the tires, light the fires? She's taking a shot. We just saw it backstage. That means she is ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and do the countdown and get this party started. Please keep sharing it out. That is the only way human beings will actually see this. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is episode number 78. The big topic on this one's going to be, what is free speech? How do we define it? What is the stopping point of where free speech stops and ends, or does it not end? We are going to talk about Biden's Build Back Better plan briefly, because that's about the amount of movement that it's made to this point. The Black Educators Matter package out of California, because they wanted to give a special treat to Black educators. Cool. And then, of course, getting back to on our way to free speech, we're going to talk about in Oregon, quietly, they have removed math, reading, and writing requirements for high school students for the next 3 years because, you know what? Education is racist. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our guests and our hosts and etc. Yada, yada, yada. We got Casey. We got Suni, the middle child. We've got Kevin. We are about to have Jelani as well as Tyler Bluntman. So Jelani's getting set up in his house. Tyler will be in about 10 minutes. That'll be a big part of our free speech package. With that said, let's kick the tires, light the fires. Suni, say hello to everybody. Without mute.
She was so slick too.
What's up, guys?
All right, Kevin, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
Howdy. Doing good. I do want to answer this question really quick from Tracy. We are not going to be live streaming the Liberty Revolt show yet until we get the King's King worked out on the radio side itself. But 1360khnc.com. The entire radio station streams live to there. So if you want to hear us, that's the place to go.
And then you got a question, Barbara, from Barbara. You coming in January?
I do believe I am. Oh my gosh.
No, he's single.
No. I do believe I am going to be coming in January. Oh my gosh, I think there's some people that want to kill me, isn't there?
No, just my mom.
So,
she
okay.
actually when you were making some single parent comments, Kevin, she goes, I want to stab him or so. It was something like that, and she ended up getting a Facebook warning to you. So yes, that's a true story. I'm just now able to share the page. I'm actually trying to share this to just my wall even, and it's been a nightmare. So anyways, Casey, last bit. Say hello to everybody and let's get started.
What up, everyone? There's no introduction needed, but love you guys. Remember, and I'll remind you at the end of this, 2022 is coming up.
Jesus.
Shut your mouth, Russo. Shut your mouth.
All right, let's get started with something simple. Let's go ahead and start with, and well, Casey, I'm going to have you take this a little bit. I've looked a little bit into the movement on Build Back Better. You got anything to say about the progress on Biden's Build Back Better at this point?
I'm gagging. Like we just passed a $2.5 trillion debt ceiling increase to put us at 31.8 trillion, I think is what it is. And then we want to pass this Build Back Better plan and increase that money by even more because we're like, it's already funded. No, but you can pay off some debt with that money. Shut up, you dumbass. But overall,
did you hear Elon Musk, by the way, Casey?
Yes.
Elon Musk was like, well, in his kind of awkward self, he's like, if somebody were to tell me that you spend $7 million and make $3 million, that's not a way a business can operate. It will fail.
Facts. Elon Musk is just calling the government out. Exactly what needs to be done is like, guys, I don't care. You're saying this is funded. We're done with the BS. Let's call it what it is. I don't get that luxury. No one on this panel gets that luxury of just increasing their debt limit where they want it. And when it comes to the government, why do they get that luxury? To pad their pockets and to be able to benefit from it and make us keep paying for it. We have to start standing up and fighting against it. That's what needs to be done.
He also mentioned that a business is just like the government is just a corporation that has a monopoly on the violence and is able to control and manipulate the currency. He basically called it out for what it is. What we have is a runaway Fed that has basically enacted the principle that there is no limit to debt. Debt doesn't actually matter. So now the question becomes, why do I even pay taxes? If you can just continue to print money, why do you need taxes? So,
well, you got to be able to pay for Nancy Pelosi's liquor habit. You got to pay for Epstein.
Money
Island.
printer go burr, man.
You got to pay for Hillary Clinton and her shitty divorce, marriage that she can't afford, and all of those things that we got to pay for, unfortunately. And when we start looking at our government, who do we keep electing? We keep electing these same dumbasses to run our country.
Casey, are you suggesting that there's something bad about the fact that Nancy Pelosi is worth over $100 million? I feel like you're attacking our politicians unfairly.
Speaking of that,
she probably had some fun with Chuck Schumer and what's his face from the red side, Mitch McConnell.
Moscow.
That's all right.
I want to be very clear. And I think that this is you're talking about the Fed. The Fed's about to. They keep saying they're about to reverse course a bit because we've been at such low interest rates, and once they increase that, we are going to get this, as if the stock market already isn't volatile enough. It is going to lay the hammer down. So if you want a suggestion from me in terms of the stock market, follow Nancy Pelosi's husband's stock portfolio. If you could find a way to do that, because there's no reason why Nancy Pelosi should be worth over $100 million if it isn't for the fact that they have been doing insider trading the whole time she has been.
It's legal for congressmen.
And the thing that's sad is there is so much that has been exposed since COVID started. So many politicians sold off their stocks right as COVID started because they knew there was going to be a dive. And then all of a sudden it was hidden because everybody's like, COVID, hide in your home. Do that. Don't pay attention to what we're doing. Then it still continued for another 20 months.
These people need to be arrested.
Yep.
To be arrested. But
Jesse Smollett is important, but that's okay.
I gotta ask before we move on, because this made me think of something, because you mentioned Hillary. There's rumors that Hillary may run for president again. Thoughts?
Yay!
I really want her to run again. You want to know why? Because they're just going to give her the primary. They're going to hand it to her because no one wants to go against Hillary because they're just going to end up dead or in a car in a fucking lake somewhere.
You mysteriously end up, a little bit dead.
You end up suiciding yourself. But overall, she can run all she wants. Will she beat anybody on the Republican Party? Good hell. Like Mitch McConnell could run against her and probably win. That's how sad she is. She will never win. Ever.
She would probably beat Donald Trump if they ran against each other, but Ron DeSantis would wipe the floor with her. Actually, you know what? Donald Trump right now is like, as much as I hate to admit it, he would probably be incredibly strong right now in the Republican Party, especially since the economy he had pre-COVID. People remember that. People are remembering that vividly at this moment.
Can he stop talking about the V? It's driving me absolutely nuts. And then here's what he said recently. He said, if the V came out during my presidency, there'd be no problems. That people would trust me. That's bullshit. Like, regardless if I like or dislike Trump, which I would much prefer Trump in office right now, obviously. But fact is, no, it would be worse. The other side would be the same cluster that we're going through right now. At least he wouldn't mandate it. I firmly believe that he would not be mandating it, at least.
Sure. Well, and remember, and this is something I said yesterday on the live, is that who put Dr. Fauci in place and who never fired Dr. Fauci but kept criticizing Dr. Fauci?
True.
Donald Trump.
He could have.
He needs to grow a pair and hold it and run with it, and he's not. And that's okay. As long as he learns from that mistake and he fixes that, I'm good.
All right.
2024. Woo.
All right, I'm trying to stall for Tyler and for Jelani just a little bit, but we might as well get into the I wanted to save it for Jelani. Maybe we'll save Oregon. Black Educators Matter package. Shuni, can you bring that beautiful footage up that you shared with us yesterday?
Bimp.
Oh man.
Hey, she was cared about, guys. Like, they gave her a whole bunch of things that she cares about.
All right, go ahead and play this phenomenal TikTok.
All right, so I have a video where I shared with you guys that I received this Black Educators Matter mask that are in my Miss Luna activist videos from my district. And it was in a gift that was just given to just Black teachers last year. I worked for Salinas Union High School District in California. It's an extremely racist district. They actually have critical race theory like crazy, and all of their lessons worse than you can imagine. I've also exposed those, but I'll share with you guys about that another time. Anyways, last year I went to go pick up this gift from the district thinking maybe I was already pretty insulted by it, but I wanted to see what it was. And so I went and picked it up from the district because we were, of course, teaching online the whole year. And I got this, I picked up the gift, and here it is right here. In it was, of course, the Black Educators Matter mask, which I would never wear in front of my students. Imagine if someone wore a White Educators Matter mask. This is also a political statement, by the way. Obviously, Black people matter all people matter, all lives matter. But when you see this is a political statement. So if a teacher has a Black Lives Matter mask or flag or something like that, we will know what their political statement is, political beliefs. It also had a cheapy pencil box, and in it are some candies. What's this? An I Love Being Black pin. I also got a bunch of letters from like various organizations, really long letters from various organizations. This one says, "We greet you and welcome you in the ancient African greeting of Otep, which means the God in me greets the God in you. This is a special greeting for the ones whom the ancients saw as special. You are all special." So this is for all the Black teachers. And I got this
Jesus Christ.
Book where you can write
Lord,
in.
help us and save us.
It had another "I Love Being Black" sticker in it.
Oh my God.
Really cheapy loofah.
This is insane.
This was also on it, signed by some of the, I think parents put together this and the district handed it to the teachers. So it has the BLM fist and the Africa, actually I'm Jamaican, but the continent of Africa on it.
Remember, all Black people
Avon,
are from Africa.
which is actually expired from 2005.
It's ridiculous.
Honey body wash, right? Because Black people need honey have dry skin. Some cheapy hand sanitizer, and best teacher ever pencil box. It's pretty bad, guys. Really bad. This is getting so awful.
She said she worked for Salinas School District?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Salinas is right next to Monterey and Carmel in just south of like Santa Clara in San Francisco. About 100 miles south of San Francisco.
Yeah. Suni, what do you think?
I think the country's shit. And the people in it. I laughed at that when I seen it. I said, wow. So we're going to give Black folks another supposed, like, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know why there's this, like, huge emphasis on being Black, because we're literally American. We just have different skin colors. That's all it is. But this one left me speechless. I can't even lie. I was sitting there just like, this is where we are in a country where you're simply special for just being Black, as if that means anything special.
What I found the funniest is the fact that the African, continent, and then the fact that she was Jamaican. Like it's
right.
Like they assume that all Black. That is that whole African American issue with saying that. That's why a lot of places we've gone back to saying Black. I know a lot of white guys like myself. We like to pad both sides and say African American, Black. We say it at the same time because it's become second nature to make sure. And it's such an interesting point. And this video, I think she did shoot that. I think at the end of last school year or whatever it is. It's incredibly valid now because we're in even a worse place. There's a teacher in Sugar Shane Mosley. It was a major institution, a big Dartmouth, one of those type universities that called a Black student by the wrong name, called him by another Black student's name, and he's super woke. He would have been fine. Even the Black students were like, it's no big deal. He wrote a 9-page email to his students. Dartmouth. Was it Dartmouth? I think it's Dartmouth.
I know what you're talking about. It wasn't Dartmouth.
Tatum.
Columbia, probably.
Tatum just put it up. 9-page letter to his students talking about how he loves Black people, loves minorities, support minorities, and then he got fired for being really friggin' weird in that video.
No, it's have you guys ever heard of Shelby Steele?
I have.
So Shelby Steele, he talks about it. Why? Because you can almost guarantee that the teachers doing this in Salinas were like white middle-aged, like white liberal women. But what it comes down to is the idea of white guilt, because when the Civil Rights Act, when they actually put through and codified that racism is illegal, and they completely debunked the idea of white supremacy, subconsciously, at least in the institutions.
Racism is illegal.
Yeah, it's illegal by the government. The government's not allowed to be racist. But what it did as well is it kind of took white people off this moral. It's like kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? Allowed to be racist. It kind of removed the moral high ground, if you will. So people who feel the white guilt say that it gives them some kind of level up on the people like us that are sitting on this round table that say that no, I'm sorry, but your skin color doesn't actually matter. If you're able to actually acknowledge that white guilt, as Shelby Steele puts it, is in fact black supremacy, and it's been plaguing a lot of institutions for years and years and years, and that's really coming through within, especially like the education system currently, and it's incredibly toxic.
The government is infringing upon people's rights. How the hell are you going to make being racist illegal? People have the right to be whatever the fuck they want to be.
That's
whether we agree with it or not.
That's freedom of association. But
that's insane. That's the dumbest law I've ever heard.
Well, that's what the Civil Rights Act did.
We're gonna get into some of the free speech level of that too, because I think that does become a fine line. Like, where is racism? Where is hatred? Where does that fall under the First Amendment? Where is it protected? Is it protected? Is it protected in 2021? There's a lot of variations of that, and I think that provides a pretty good platform to have that conversation. Jelani is just about to jump on. I think Tyler should be a couple minutes away. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, and I think Suni, you and I talked about this when I was working State Fair, with all the like Black something matters stuff, like Black business women matter, Black all these. It was just like, can you imagine? And you said probably not a good idea to create that video, and I'm glad I listened to you. But I was writing down all the different Black something I saw, and it's like, why is this even? What when we're in a country where we say, let's stop talking about race, let's stop dividing and separating the two groups, blah blah blah. Meanwhile, you see Black educators matter, Black women business owners matter, like all these different things over and over and over. It's like, it just doesn't. It's not helping the overall cause. Is it protected under free speech? Of course it is, but it's just fucking stupid. Me saying it's stupid, also protected under free speech.
Yeah.
We're going to get into that.
It's all CRT.
No?
Yeah. I think we should just like get rid of the government. That's where I am. That's where I am at this point. You can't legislate morality. You can't force people to do what the fuck that they don't want to do. Basic natural law, like don't kill, don't steal, I'm cool with that. But all these other regulations that they have in place, it is allowing grown-ass people to be children. You have to have a government to tell you how to conduct yourself. That, in the grand scheme of things, that's what we're dealing with. And that's absolutely insane.
You know, it's funny, Suni, you just said, stealing should be illegal, and, yet we're allowing stealing to a certain dollar amount, but we're making it illegal to say the wrong thing on occasion. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Did you not know that words can hurt? Okay, and words can hurt my feelings.
People's feelings, bro. I don't give a damn about how people feel.
Oh, good God! What do we have? We have Cam Newton on stage. Like, good God!
Oh, Jelani, I see you. The last thing I'm going to say, real quick.
Let's go.
You were just saying.
Welcome
something.
to anarchism, Suni.
I'm already there, bro. I'm already there.
Hell yeah, let's go.
God, ultimately, and Jelani, I'll bring up in a second. This whole thing makes me look at when we're allowing stealing to happen, when we're allowing 32 Black kids to go inside of a store in San Francisco. This ultimate plan of let it happen is, to me, the beginning of a master plan to truly bring back racism in this country. Because you're going to see people start to go like, man, these Black kids are getting away with murder. This is bullshit. And you're going to see a recreation of that Southern KKK mentality, because people are looking at what they see, because they're being allowed to run amok without punishment.
What's going to happen is the police are going to get defunded, which is going to lead to people being like, hey, wait a second. That means I can carry my gun, because who the hell's going to stop me? Oh, cool. Now I can defend my business the way I need to defend my business. And people are going to start getting shot, and people are going to stop stealing.
It's ridiculous. All right. I'm going to introduce Jelani, everybody, and then we're going to start moving on with Oregon, especially since he's from the Seattle area. He's up in that Pacific North woke West. And if you guys don't know Jelani, he's going to tell you a little about himself. I think he's might be going live on TikTok to tell everybody. He's got like 64,000 followers on TikTok on his 37th page, much the same as Sunni. They do not like him for being a black influencer that is on the conservative side of things. So without further ado, I'm bringing on Jelani. Give me a thumbs up if you're ready, buddy. Boom! Jelani Gibbons, ladies and gentlemen. What's up, Jack?
You guys hear me? It was hard.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
good deal. Good shit. What's up?
Jelani, introduce yourself. I know people have probably seen you on here before, but it's been a while. I love the Awake Not Woke hat. What's cracking?
Man, this is glued to my head, man. Jelani Gibbons, Republican PCO and Precinct Committee Officer for the Porphyro, Tacoma, Washington. For people that know me out here, local PB and activists of sorts. Trying to make change, the best way I can through peace, love, and equality. But people hate me for that.
PB, that's crazy. You're black. That can't be possible. I was told it's a white supremacist.
I'm a white supremacist.
I heard all of them are white supremacists. So that's crazy.
How that works.
Well, little do you know, it's just spray paint. So.
When he showers,
I've always been proud to be a boy. Like, it's so weird. That's my pronoun. I'm a boy.
One of my old friends was, and I say old friends not because he's old, but because they're no longer friends with me anymore. And some of the people that watch this stuff might know who he is. So it's one of my woke friends. Literally because I was defending the PBs in one video where I said I met a couple and they seem like really decent human beings. I don't think it's what it is. Anyways, that was when we talked months later. He goes, "That's when I knew you were becoming extreme." I'm like, I was talking to a black dude that was in a and because I'm becoming a racist extremist, like this is
a lot of us actually. It's just the media. It's funny though. My grandpa saw he see me on the news, and I was like, "What? I guess I made it. I don't know." But at least I don't think they said white supremacist though. So that was good. That's good.
Yeah.
Probably.
The new face of white supremacy, Jelani Gibbons. Just kidding. All right. Let's go ahead and kick right into this Oregon talk. I'll let anybody go first, but Oregon, let's see. I have the article here. The Oregon governor signs a bill ending, signing a bill ending, getting the exact verbiage, reading and math proficiency requirements for graduation. It is a 3-year plan. It was signed by Kate Brown, who we know has ties to other countries. We've talked about that months ago. Privately signed a bill last month ending the requirement for high school students to prove proficiency in reading, writing, and arithmetic before graduation. Now, to be very clear, she was not the one that talked to reporters because they did not make this public, which I find very interesting. I thought this would be something that they would have a whole press conference for and be like, "Hey, look at us being woke." But actually, it was her spokesperson that said that this would be helping, or the exact verbiage, I want to get it right. It was Boyle and... where was it? It essentially says that we are helping. There it is. So the new standards for graduation would aid Oregon's Black, Latino, Latinx, Indigenous, Asian, Pacific Islander, tribal, and students of color. That's why they are doing this. Is the not need for any skills going into graduation would help them. Anyways, who wants to take this lovely topic first?
Holy racism, Batman. That's my comment.
Well, we all know the two people down below can't read the articles, so we don't know what to do.
You've seen how long it took me to get here. I was like, "Joe Biden, help me. I can't get on. I can't get up."
Oh, Christ.
Help me, Biden. You're my only hope.
Yeah. So, again, I mean, Sunni or Jelani, any thought? Like, actually, Jelani, you were talking a bit before backstage that you were part of the No One Left Behind Act. And
Yeah. Like, it was like right the year before I got held back. So I felt kind of mad about that. I was like, damn, I could have not been held back, but now I don't have to try. So it was like, well, fuck that. I'm writing it on. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really try. I mean, the best thing, I guess I did learn how to read and write to an extent, but I knew I didn't have to try.
Yeah.
That, like a good amount of my friends knew that shit too. They were like, well, my mom, like one of my homeboys knew that shit, and he's white. He was like, yeah, my mom just said all I gotta do is just make it out of middle school, and I'm good. I was like, what? Like, nothing about high school seemed like appealing to none of us for the most part out here in Washington State.
It's like athletes got privilege, and then it just was like, oh, you're black, then you got the same privilege as athletes at this point.
Oh yeah. Athlete, yeah. I know I had a lot of things slide for me. I went to Sylvester Middle School, and just because I was a track athlete and did all that stuff, they let a lot of things slide for me. Like my education wasn't. I had over 50-something write-ups. I should have been expelled. But because I was a good athlete, those guys didn't give a shit.
Speaking of write-ups, we've got a gentleman. I don't know how that translated, but we've got another gentleman backstage. We've got Tyler Bluntman. We are going to bring him on. I don't know what write-ups. Don't give me that look, Sunny. I figured he got in trouble a lot in high school. I get that feeling. I feel like he's got a smart mouth. He's quick-witted. I feel like he might have brought some pain to teachers. So I'm going to introduce Tyler Bluntman to the stage, ladies and gents. Tyler, what's up?
Nah, I'm taking that as a racist comment, man. I'm taking that as a racist comment. What's good? Yo, I gotta hold my mic like I'm a noob, but that's okay. So what's up, y'all? Thanks for inviting me on.
This is your first time on Truth Will Set You Free. Tyler, introduce yourself. Let them know who you are. Go for it.
Yeah, man. So I am the purveyor of truth and getting banned. I think the only person who has gotten banned more times than me is probably Sunni. But yeah, man. So I am an anarcho-capitalist, man. I believe in anarchism because government is gay. Taxation is not just theft, it is fucking extortion, and do not bow down before the government. But other than that, let's repeal the 19th and transgenderism isn't real. Let's go.
All right. Well, that's a good start. I mean, that was a pretty good intro. You brought the heat.
Up doorways.
This is the first time I've seen Sunni smile in 37 minutes.
I know, right? 36 minutes and 55 seconds. All right. So, Tyler, just as a heads up to remind you, Facebook and YouTube, even though this is a free speech episode, things we can't say. The V word. We can't.
Wait, what's the V word?
Not vagina, the other one.
No, I was gonna say vagina, something that you have.
Can we say jab?
You can say the jab.
Okay, cool.
You can say, and you have to say anything like schmekten or the I thing. You got that? What else? And then, although again, free speech episode, we do have to watch any kind of slurs. That's it. That's all we got to watch.
Like Nigeria.
Correct. Racial, sexuality based, etc.
Pronounced Niger. I think that's the country.
Hey, what are you trying to put a French spin on it? Do we need to have a white flag?
There was no joke. I think it was a World Cup or a World Cup qualifier where Niger played Germany.
Yep.
And the ESPN scoreboard up at the top was really, really bad.
Yeah, they switched it. They switched it at the halfway point. Somebody was like, "Hey, Steve, I think we gotta switch that." Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Goes to show we shouldn't let words hurt us, man. Because it's just
Did you ever see that that South Park episode where Randy was on it was similar to like a Wheel of Fortune or something like that, and you know where they have the letters and he's trying to fill in the letters and he's got all of the letters. It's N blank GGERS, and it's people that annoy you, and he's just he's like, well, I know, but I don't think I should say it. And then it's 10 seconds, Mr. Marsh. And it's just all right, I got it. And then he just shouts out the N word, and then they're like, no, it's naggers.
Naggers. The word is naggers.
All right, let's wrap this last topic. I know you guys both jumped on. Thoughts about Oregon removing math, reading, and writing for high school students in order to protect minorities because of COVID. It's a 3-year plan. They're saying this is so that they don't have, originally you have to have a freshman or sophomore level of proficiency of all this. And now because they are saying they want to protect the minority groups, they threw Asian in there, which, let's be honest, they're the smartest ones in the room in that group. Let's be very clear. But they are protecting minorities on that one. Do you think that this is a good thing, a bad thing, or the long-term ramifications?
Yeah, this shit's highly fucking offensive. Like this, like what they say when they do things like this, like inadvertently, they're just saying that like minorities are just inherently fucking stupid. That somehow like we're not going to be able to grasp these subjects like math and reading, and so we need more leg ups because we're just fucking dumb. So like that's insane. Anybody who would agree with that, you're just furthering like not just degeneracy, like you're furthering like just stupid people. Like you're just like okay with people going into the world being stupid. This is another reason. This is another reason why fucking public anything is trash. Like government schooling is trash. If this is all privatized schooling, then it's like, well, you're not going to tell me what I'm going to do with my private school because we believe in math and reading here, and you're not graduating unless you pass this math and reading. We don't care what your racial or ethnic background is. But as long as it's the government schools, then it's okay. Or not even government schools. As long as government just says, no, well, we're going to force this on other schools as well. Yeah, man, they just want black people to be dumb, and they want to keep us reliant on them and thinking that government is good when they're not good.
It's like Jelani said. It's essentially providing this easier way so that they are less prepared in the end. Jelani, go ahead, and then Kevin. Go ahead.
Okay, so so for the most part, it was easy for me to be a gang member, like for sure. But actually learning something in school, it seemed like I had to move further away from Seattle. So it's like this is the kind of thing that we're gonna have to, like, most of these kids think that they're stuck in that kind of life. They don't know anything else really, unless like their family goes on vacation or something. So it's like, and they ain't learning no education when they go on that vacation, so they still don't know. So I mean, unless people start to really get up in there and try to get involved with like their children and the school board and shit like that, it's going to be a never-ending cycle of them controlling our kids.
Could this be another way to pander, do you think? Because these are kids, they're about to be voting. I mean, they're probably voting in 2022 or 2024, being like, you know what, you guys don't need any requirements. These kids are going to get out of high school, and next year or 2.5 years from now, they're going to be like, you know what, I got an idea. They made me not have to, finish my requirements. I got to graduate from high school. Voting Democrat. Like, is it? Do you think it's pandering?
Let me put it this way. It used to be the case when I went to my government high school, right? There was no form of critical thought being taught. They did not teach the philosophers unless just in passing in middle school, you went over the Greek unit and you learned that Plato, Aristotle, and Socrates existed. But that's about as far as it went. As soon as I went to my Christian school in my sophomore and junior year, critical thought was the most, even in a Bible-loving Christian school, they taught critical thought. And they engaged in and wanted you to think for yourself. They specifically do not want a public school system that is actually generating people that can actually think for themselves, because like you guys have been saying, they want dependent voters. They don't actually want to end the cycle of, generation after generation after generation that is not getting educated, like in communities like Baltimore, Chicago, all the others. They don't want that. They want to keep doing that. Otherwise, the answer is super obvious and super clear, and nothing can deny it because the statistics back it up. School choice would be their number one fight right now if they actually cared. If they actually gave a shit, school choice would be their number one fight, but they don't. They just want voters.
They don't want to know where their taxes are going.
Yeah. Stop. You need to stop that. We can't think with logic. We can't change things for the better, Kevin.
No.
We don't want things to be better tomorrow than they are today. So government needs to run all of our schools and teach all of our kids and tell them on how they need to behave for the rest of their lives.
The smarter we make our kids, the less chance that they'll be able to control us in the future. So let's keep dumbing them down.
Yep.
All right. Anybody else? We ready to move on to what is free speech?
Oh, yes.
Let's go ahead and move on. All right. I want to do a little intro to this because I Tyler's going to be...
Wait. Before we do this, am I going to have to play devil's advocate? Is there anyone on this panel that actually thinks that there should be a limit to free speech?
You and I are going to be some weird libertarians in this mix. I'll tell you that right now.
We got another ANCAP down there in the corner, so he's probably right about the same level that I am on all of this.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
So the big thing is,
in theory.
The people on the screen below, Tyler, Jelani, and Suni, all of whom have been banned more than anybody.
Hold on, are you just like putting out the black people? Why are all the black people like on the
See that?
bottom, by the
You
way?
wanna say it?
Why are the black people on the bottom?
It's on
They noticed.
on
This
purpose.
racist ass live already. All right, go ahead.
It's so Tyler, so that when we need to censor, we just push you down, and it just
Right.
goes all the way in.
Of course.
Brandon has told us the way we need to structure things. It's you guys and then us.
You built the country. The country was built on your shoulders, so we're doing the show on your shoulders. So that's where we're going.
That's deep, bro.
And
I'm Italian, okay? My country was partially built on my shoulders too. Everything from 1920 on was like us. So
if you the reason I want to call you guys out on this, and Cash was the same way, you all are dangerous. When I say you're dangerous, you are dangerous to the establishment, because there is a lot of people that I, Casey, Kevin, cannot speak to. That is the white liberal, and that is the black population, which is 13% of the country. And if you take away these 12% that votes conservative, to actually try to convince people or to have people listen to a different side, Tyler, Jelani, Suni, you are very dangerous. Candace Owens, dangerous. Cash, very dangerous. People that can have a voice that can speak to everyone is somebody that they do not want. And I've said it from day one working with Cash, that when I saw the stuff that he would get pinged for and pulled down for, and all the different things that would happen on Facebook, YouTube, etc., I was like, no, it is a straight up target over specific groups of people, on top of what we're going to talk about, free speech. But do you think, this is my first topic to have you guys go on the bottom and answer this question, do you think you are targeted because of your message more, or do you think you're targeted because of your skin color?
The message and both the skin color. I mean, just look at the walk away movement. They shut down that whole movement. But before that, my shit, every time I posted there, would go almost viral. And then they would end up just taking it down. It'll be about me talking about the relationship between me building up God and how I fixed the relationship between me and my wife. So it's like, it was harmless stuff. Me telling about how I walked away from the gang life. And they're like, well, that's somehow, they won't even give me no explanation. They were just taking it down instantly.
Jelani's pages were, when him and I met each other in the very beginning, he would literally get to 4,000 followers, page gone. He would get to 7,000 followers, page gone. And he didn't even have questionable messaging. It was just like there was a weird glitch in the matrix. And it was very, very, very odd. There was his videos put up on other people's pages and shared with like screen grabs, stayed up forever. His couldn't even keep it up. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, well, first I want to say that I appreciate that perspective. I thought that it was my guns and my inclination to not care about looters' lives that made me dangerous, but I never thought about it from the other side. I appreciate that. As far as targeting us specifically, I don't know, man. I've never really thought about it. I don't like thinking about the whole racial stuff anyway. I think it's fucking weird and weak. I generally don't even think about race until somebody else brings it up, and then I'm just there to debunk their ignorance. But I'll be honest, I never thought about it. I don't care.
All right. Suni, what do you think? Sorry, I muted you. You had a weird background fuzz. Go ahead.
Sure. I mean, we all feel the same way. You guys know I get tired of talking about race. I get tired of talking about racism. There's times where I like put the black commentator on here just as a play on words, but that's what we are in these arenas. People specifically bring us on and put us in shows just to give a black perspective, as if we don't function in this country like any other person does. It's annoying. I don't think that I have been censored for being black. I don't think that. But I do think that I have been censored for being out of the norm. I'm not the stereotypical black commentator that's going to walk around and scream BLM or harp on the fact that I'm a black woman in this country and it's just so bad. I think it's because we all have a really, really powerful message that transcends race at this point. Like, it has nothing to do with race.
So you and Tyler, I know, have a little bit edgier subjects. And the reason I bring that up is because of Jelani. Jelani on all of his social medias strictly he'll drop the F-bomb a couple times, but his messaging is not as it's not as firm, I should say. Like, it doesn't cover some of the hot button topics. And again, that's why I'm saying I've known Jelani since the beginning of his walk away journey. His videos had nothing to do with subjects that anybody else would get pulled for. They were completely clean. I walked away because I felt as though, and that was literally it. And there was nothing subject matter wise. And that's why I bring up race, because I think it's ironic we say we shouldn't be talking about race, because I agree. But at the same time, if we're talking about cultural issues, I mean, a lot of this is it's race talk. Unfortunately, I don't want to talk about it as much as it, but it matters. And when it came to Jelani, I don't know. Jelani, you can speak for yourself. Was there anything that if you look back that a white dude would have got pulled for what you were saying?
I mean, I'm not really sure. All I know is it's hella weird how I did preach a lot about gang violence on my page, and my shit never got pulled down. But as soon as I became conservative, it's like I was gonna hit hard. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the fact that I'm conservative. Maybe it's the fact that I'm black.
Yeah, but Anthony, even just phrasing that question is fucking weird. That's such like a weird question.
Like, it's weird as fuck.
That's such a weird question to ask. Like, hold on. Like, it's the same thing that, like, when leftists are like, oh, well, do you really think this would have happened to them if they were white and they got pulled over? It's this whole, like, what if? Well, do you think this would have happened? Like, we don't know. So, but, like, when you just phrase that question, when you phrase that question that way, it just furthers, like, such a weird racial thing. Like, it seems to be, like, the opposite of what you're saying you want to promote. So, it's just, like, a weird question.
Can I say something right quick? Because it's like, even though we don't like the fact that race is brought up, the race game is being played, regardless of we not liking it or not. I mean, I was helping guys try to get elected out here, and when they went to their Q&As, even the forum was all about like black people, and it was like, how is that? It was like there's more than just black people in the community, but it was like making it so that if you didn't answer black, you were against black people, and it was a white dude against a black woman, like clearly like making it seem like she didn't really have to get policies. It was weird. I didn't even answer the forum.
But why? This is no different than identity politics. Why emphasize that we're all black? Like, clearly we wake up every day black. It's me personally. I have no problem telling a politician, like, if you want me to be promoting you, cool. What's your message? All that, well, you're a black conservative shit. No, just check it at the door. And because we don't check it at the door and we don't stand up for ourselves and say, actually, I don't want to just represent you because I'm black. How about you say there's something else that you're interested in that I offer outside of my skin color? Because it's no different than the left. The right is no different than the left when you really get down to it. They want people like us because we're black, and we defy the narrative. Just like the left wants people because they're black, because people are sensitive to black folks. It is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not saying
I don't see the importance of talking about race. I'm just going to be honest. I really don't.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that there aren't like racial differences or things that may come up. So it's like, okay, well then I'll go ahead and we'll talk about this. But that's not the point that I was making. The point that I'm making is like the whole like what if questions. I don't like those. It's like, well, do you think this would have happened if you were white, or do you think this would have happened if you weren't black? Like that's such a it's a weird thing. Like if I was on like if somebody was interviewing me on like some news anchor was interviewing me and said that shit, I'd flame the shit out of her. Like that's such a weird fucking question. You know
I think why is it a weird question when the three people on the bottom of the screen have been censored more than any of the white people on the top? And you guys talk about race all the time. Like when you the whole thing, like let's not talk about race, blah blah blah. You guys talk about race all the time.
No, because we couldn't know. But I don't talk about that. I don't talk about that. I don't talk about, hey Suni, do you think that this really would have happened if you weren't black? Hey, do you think that this would have happened? Like, how could I know that? How could I know if something would or would not have happened based on like some of your skin color? Like, there's no point point in answering those types of questions. Now, if you're talking about things that actually are backed up via whatever data points that we're talking about, it's like, okay, if you're talking about crime rates, if you're talking about this or whatever, but I can't know how somebody would treat me if I was like white or black unless.
So the data point we have, Tyler, is 3 black people on the screen that get censored more than these.
But we have no clue if that's because we're black.
You guys are looking. You got to look at it from the perspective of someone who is in Susan Wojcicki's shoes. Sorry, however the hell you say that freaking name, who's working towards a specific narrative that, if we want to talk politics, the most important thing a politician can get is votes. And if you have a specific voting block that goes 90+% to you every time, you fight to the death to keep that. You mobilize every single weapon at your disposal to keep that. I'm not saying the conservative right should be talking about it, but I do think there does need to be an acknowledgement that there are incentives, because incentives are the #1 driving force for all human behavior. There are incentives for those on the left, especially those behind the scenes, especially those that are in Susan Wojcicki's position, to be censoring messages that would have extra impact on what they want to see in the voting blocks.
So just to make it clear, because I don't like being misrepresented, I don't spend my time talking about being black. If I do talk about it, it is to disrupt the narrative that the left is pushing. And I have every look. I'm gonna tell young black folks, it don't matter if you're black, bro. How about you wake up, make your own decisions, and stop banking on the fact that you're black and you're a victim. I don't push that shit.
No, and that's fine, and that's not what I'm saying. What the question was is, do you think there is something that plays into it? And you have to look at it from the perspective of who's doing the censoring. Do they have a reason they wouldn't want to see it?
We can't answer that.
Yeah.
We can't answer that. That's just like saying, well, did that cop pull that person over because they're black? Everybody on this screen would be like, well, you don't know that. Why are you making that assumption?
Jelani, go ahead. Jelani, go ahead.
I mean, I can only speak from the fact that, I lived in Seattle. It's predominantly, Democrat. That's obvious. I was in gangs, and for the most part, for what I can see, there's so many opportunities for gang members to cause so much harm within our communities. And some people say poverty and this and that, but in our community, we ain't really looking at that. And we're pushing it off and making excuses. That's what I preach. That's all I preach. But
Jelani, you think you would have chosen the gang life if you weren't black?
I don't know.
Who could know that, right? That's the point I'm making. Who the fuck can know that?
The point I'm making the point I'm making is that when you have 90%, what you guys are preaching is accountability. Look at what the Democratic platform is. It is anti every single bullet point on it is no accountability, no accountability, no accountability, no accountability. And they have gotten that message into a lot of minority, just plain poor communities. Follow the same. Accountability is lost in poor communities regardless of race, which is why
black on the voting blocks and shit. So I'm like, so apparently is more important than everything else apparently to life when it comes to voting. So it's like it's impossible to not see, like, to not focus on race when it's like always thrown in your face. Like,
yeah,
it is what it is, but it's like at least I can speak out against it when I can. But
you want to know something? You want to know something that is interesting? Something that is interesting though. So on the live stream that I was on before I came on here, I was on there with a bunch of prostitutes, or I'm sorry, sex workers, I guess is the term that they go by. But I was on there with a bunch of sex workers, and some dude came on at the end, and he was telling me, he was like, "Hey man, at first glance, you look all right. I see the beanie, I see the weed leaf on you, I see the piercing. He's like, I see the beard. He's like, you know what, you look all right. But then when I hear you talk, he's like, oh, now you the op. You the op. You know he said that shit, Sudi? It's like, so wait a minute, because hold on, what did I look like to you? Like Democrat? You saying I look like a Democrat? It's like, yeah, you look like a Democrat. And I'm sitting here like, yeah, I'm not an ignorant Democrat for sure. Like, for sure. And this just goes to show you that it doesn't really matter. Like, none of this matters. You know what I mean? What you look like does not matter. The only thing that matters are your ideas. Yeah.
But to deny that at least someone in their perspective would be like, chances are it is more likely that a young black person who has gone through a public education system that is infected with CRT and they're told that all white people are racist, therefore they don't even listen when white people talk, because that's what the CRT reinforces, is that idea.
Can I tell you guys my mental state when I was taught dumb shit back in the day in Seattle? Well, I was taught that white people were crazy, that all white people are the same. And when white kids specifically, because I was a kid, when they would walk past my house, I would jump them and steal their shit because they had what was that? They had insurance for all that shit. So that was my. I did that shit in front of my grandma's house, and I was taught that shit. You know, so I don't know what to tell you other than that's what the shit I was taught.
Jelani, if you were white, would you have been taught that?
And I had happiness. And I had happiness in my soul when I did that shit too. I can't take that back though.
No, I get it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be clear about the question. The question is just based off of anecdotal stuff. Just the exact same way that we look at the V and we look at the things that arrive with Schmerschmeckton. There's not a lot of data points because there hasn't been the proper research to get those data points because people in power don't want those data points to come out. Yeah. So we based it off of doctors using things that rhyme with Quinn and Schmerschmeckton. And based on anecdotal evidence, it's worth a conversation. Same reason I brought it up there. I do not want any more racial talk than has to be given. But at the same time, if I believe there's something that is an issue in this country and it's misperceived in the other direction, I think it's important to bring it up. That's why I bring it up. Yeah. Let's get more into free speech. Kevin, I'm going to let you lead the actual overall conversation off. Casey is saying, no, don't do it. Kevin, you want to talk free speech. You challenged me last week. Explain how that started, and then let's have everybody explain what free speech means to them. So
somebody had brought up the Westboro Baptist Church and a lot of the things they say, and you made the statement or the claim that the Westboro Baptist Church should not be allowed to say what they say because it is hate speech. It is filled with hate. They say terrible things because they believe in God. They believe, eternal. When they say gay people go to hell, they're literally putting eternal damnation on people. Therefore, that is violent hate speech and should be illegal. And my response to you is that the only reason free speech exists is to protect speech we don't like. Speech does not hurt people. Actions hurt people. There is no word that I can say that's actually going to kill someone. The only way it could possibly do it is if I say it so loud that the physical presence of the word itself, the waves itself, do the damage, because words can't hurt people. Free speech is meant to protect the ideas we disagree with, because if it was only for things we agree with, it wouldn't be necessary. And ideas are what destroy governments, not violence.
Gotcha.
Just real quick. Revolutionary War. We could definitely say violence is what destroyed that government, but I understand it's sparked by an idea, but I get it.
Yeah.
Who else?
It was the Declaration of Independence that got the idea moving.
Who wants to give their opinion on the just their belief system behind what free speech is? Suni, do you want this one? You want to go?
Free speech, it is what it is. It says it right there. It's free speech.
Yep.
People are allowed to say whatever they want. And quite frankly, I don't think anybody is responsible for my feelings or anybody else's feelings on this screen outside of the people that are closest to us. So you could really give two shits about how I feel, and that's perfectly okay. Now, would I be bothered by it? Probably. But is it a crime? No. I think we're getting into a really, really thin line of infringing on people's rights by telling them what they can and can't say. Well, that offends me, so you can't say it. Like, no, they can say whatever they want. Just like a person is free to be racist. Yo, be racist. You can hate black people all you want. A person can hate a gay person all they want, because we live in America, which is the land of the free. If you are wanting to stop that, then you are not a patriot and you don't believe in any American principles. Just period.
So I want to point this back, and I'm not going to give my statements yet. But between Suni and Kevin, so there's one subject. And first off, I want you guys to know I'm definitely after doing a lot of research and soul searching, more on your guys' side. than I thought I was in the very beginning. Because in the very beginning, I thought I was free speech, and then I was like, maybe I'm not, and whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think the question I asked you is, what has Suni or I said that you would be okay killing us over?
What I would be okay having it criminalized, but that wasn't. So this is my question. So, and this is going to be pointed back at you guys. There was the girl, the case. This is a case, and I don't know where I stand on it now. The girl that told her boyfriend via Twitter or instant messenger over and over, you should just kill yourself. You should.
You're talking about from a few years ago.
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about.
It was through text. Yeah,
through text. And the guy ended up killing himself, and I believe as though she was convicted and sentenced for a version of murder. I don't know which one, manslaughter. I think it was murder. I think she got murder, not just manslaughter.
Oh, there were actions tied to her words. There were actually actions that she was performing that were tied to her words that also helped, such as helping him, assisting him in the process.
She gave him suggestions on how to do it.
Yeah.
If she didn't give him suggestions, completely fine.
No.
Yeah. Why not? It's free speech. Yeah. She's allowed to say what she wants.
Yo, Suni is straight up getting ANCAP
pill.
Yes, she is. It's wonderful.
Let's fucking go.
Bro, it don't even matter. I'm like, yo, you can say it, but I mean, like,
thank you. It matters if I go do it now. If I go do it, that's my responsibility.
Tell me that they hope that cops will shoot me in the back like they do us. And I'm like, well, damn,
fact,
you're alive and shit, but okay.
Right. So Anthony, look at it this way, right? Let's take him killing himself. You're just talking about like him performing some act, right?
Yeah.
So let's just take the act of him killing himself out, and let's say that that woman or that chick or that girl, I think she was underage. So that girl kept saying, "No, rape that woman," and then he rapes a woman. Would you say that? Like, should she be held accountable for it, or should he be held accountable for it?
Oh, I haven't told you my stance on it. My stance is that it was based off of, but I do think this is a gray area in free speech. It was the fact that she gave exact instructions on how to do it. But technically, based on what we're saying, that doesn't matter. I mean, it's still free speech. There's a lot of people who are like, I wish I could, shoot somebody with my gun in the head and the bubble, and you could be specific.
That's a threat, though.
Yeah,
like that's a threat. That's completely
even with threats. Even with threats, if you say next time I see you, I'm going to kill you, I believe I have the legal right then to treat you.
You have the legal right to say it. But,
no, you have the legal right to say it.
Wait. So look, we are free to say whatever we want, but that doesn't mean that there won't be consequences behind what you say.
Exactly.
And that's not taking someone's freedom away. You're allowing them to say it. I can say, I don't like anybody on this panel. Okay, you don't like us on this panel. I can say that I'm going to do something to you, but until I act on it, you can't do anything to me.
Yeah,
right.
But
so the only right that you have in this life is the right not to be aggressed upon. Now, that being said, like a direct threat, depending on the circumstance, I would say that would be considered an act of aggression, right?
Yeah,
so like
it is.
if you said, like, say that you were standing on the sidewalk outside of my home, and then you told me as I'm standing on my front lawn with my wife and my kids, and you sit there and you look at me, you said, I am going to take out a gun from my pocket and I'm going to point it at your family and shoot you dead. Right? I am not going to wait until some bullet leaves some gun. At that point, I'm not Superman. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to wait for the gun to come out. As soon as I even just see you like inching that way, I take that as a direct threat on my life and I'm eliminating you.
Yeah, this is what it comes down to. Okay. You have the right to say what you want. I have the right to trust you and take you at your word. You say you're going to kill me next time you see me. I get to treat you as if you're a reasonable threat next time I see you.
So that
I trusted you.
We got to go back to this case. We got to go back to this case because she was held liable, and as Christine says, for killing himself because he got out of the truck. She told him to get back in. She's not threatening him. She's not saying, get back in the
I don't think
truck.
She should have been charged.
I don't either.
When that actually happened, and this was before I was even like ANCAP pill, but I feel like in my heart I always was. So even back then when this case came out, I was like, and everybody was like, yeah, like people on the right were still like conservatives, like, yeah, she should definitely be charged. And I'm sitting here like, I don't know about that. Like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Go ahead, Jelani.
Wait, he committed suicide?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did it.
He did.
How old was he?
He was
in high school.
19, 20.
I think he was in high school, yeah.
Yeah, they were both in high school.
I mean, I feel a certain way about suicide because I feel like that's like, I don't know. I feel I have a hard stance on suicide because I feel like that's like
What?
I don't really like suicide like that. It's like
I mean, I don't like suicide.
you know?
I don't like suicide.
I mean, like, as far as like obviously, I'm saying like as far as like when people do it,
like the bullying that leads to it. Is that what you're saying?
Like, aren't you gonna go to hell for that?
Here's
Oh, you're talking about people that actually commit suicide.
Yeah. So I'm like,
it's considered a mortal sin.
It's like for you to want to do that, it's kind of fucked, you know. So
there is harassment, you know, like if I have the legal right to say I don't want to associate with you, right? The First Amendment has the freedom of association, freedom of speech, and freedom of establishment. The freedom of association is I have the right to not associate with you. The crime she committed was harassing him. She didn't kill him, she harassed him. That's a different type of thing. I have the right to tell you to leave me alone, and if you don't leave me alone, you are aggressing upon me.
Right.
Well, harassment.
If he didn't know what he was doing,
Yeah.
at the time, then I would say that she could be held liable for that, right? So the same way that, like, let's say that
liability isn't criminal.
let's say that you're blindfolded, and I say, yeah, you're absolutely fine to take 10 steps forward, but in 5 steps you actually fall off a cliff and you die, right? I would say no, you absolutely caused that person's death. They didn't understand what they were doing, right? So, but he did understand what he was doing. He knew he was killing himself. So yeah, I wouldn't say it applies to him.
Yeah, no. But I don't even think he told her to stop talking. It was stupid.
That's my point. You can brush it off. You don't have to kill yourself and go to hell. That's my point.
So let me ask you guys this. We're going to take this to another level. Do you think the parents should be charged in the shooting in Michigan?
No.
I haven't looked into any shooting in Michigan.
No. I had a talk about this a couple of weeks ago, and I said you would have to prove that the parents knew he was going to do this. They were complicit in him going to do it. I think holding the parents accountable for something he did completely absolves the kid from any responsibility. He needs to go to jail for what he did.
Here's no question, by the way. Did the school know about it?
Hey, let Johnny go.
Because that means that they can charge every gang member's family member because
exactly.
Yep.
And that's just going to affect. I mean, unfortunately.
So let me pose this question then. If we're taking that type of stance, if we pose the question of this family, these parents literally have mentioned they bought this gun for their kid and handed it to him and took him to train with the gun and learn how to fire it. Is there any guilt there?
Dude,
is there any guilt?
No, so hold on.
Died.
I don't need 15 people to talk at once, but let's talk about it.
What? Okay, anyways. That's like you're gonna charge every other parent who taught them how to use a gun just because their kid decided to go do something. You know right from wrong at a very early age. So holding a parent accountable for what your kid did, no, that's completely absurd.
Okay.
Yeah, let me put it this way, right? Like at the end of the day, the school knew he was called in that day when he had a gun in his backpack. Yep. And the school did nothing. The school is the one that's negligent and liable here, but it's a government school, so they're going to hide that as much as they can. You cannot charge the parents for the actions of another, especially since they were trying to do basically what is an aggression therapy. It's like putting your kid in fighting, right? It's like putting your kid in football when they've got aggression issues. You're trying to give them an alternative outlet for it, trying to be responsible about it. They can't be held liable for this, especially since it happened. It was like that it happened.
I'm going to provide the counterpoint because I disagree. This one I immediately said the parents should be tried because I do not think it's anything like a gang member's parents or anything like that.
What's the guy's name so I can look this up?
Just look up Oxford High School, Michigan.
Yeah, just look up Oxford, Michigan.
Let me tell you, Jelani. I'm going to tell you. So the fact that we're even talking about the kid having so many problems, his friend was the one that had the deer head that was put up a couple weeks ago and had gotten expelled. He was an at-risk student. His parents had already been called into the school for his ridiculously off-the-wall, sick behavior. And then they decide that's the time to give him the gun. There was social media videos that were very out in the open of him creating Molotov cocktails at the age of 15 years old and blowing things up. The kid had problems. This is where negligence, in many ways, is against the law. And on top of it, as Ruth says, based on the law in Michigan, the parents were getting an illegal firearm for their child. Should the parents be
No.
tried in this case for murder? No. Should
No.
they be tried for what they're? I think it's what is it called?
Manslaughter. They're trying to give him
Manslaughter.
manslaughter, but
Right.
negligence
No,
is a better fitting law.
So that's why I believe that this is a different case. I've never said a parent, like in all the school shootings and all the gang shooting, there are so many different steps.
So,
You guys, this is a skipping stone to being able to hold
Yeah.
gun manufacturers liable. That's what this is. If you can prove that that somebody else can be liable for how the weapon is used, if the parents can be liable for how the son used it, doesn't matter. It was stored correctly, right? It was incorrectly. It was stored incorrectly.
Yes.
But here's the thing. If you're a gun rights advocate, what the fuck does it mean to be stored incorrectly? Storing it at all is a violation of your rights. So that's not supposed to. That's unconstitutional right on its face. If you're saying they have to store it correctly, you're saying they don't have the right to self-defense in their own home because they need to be able to access a safe to go get it. So that gets thrown out right away. It's the child's actions. If someone else can be held liable for how the weapon was used, they're trying to open the door to be able to go after gun manufacturers for being responsible in supplying the gun that was used.
That's very different. This is the point of contact.
Let's let Sumi go.
My dad bought my gun when I was a gang member.
Yeah.
So would he be liable for if I would have shot somebody in the gang activity? Because
who would buy you a gun?
I mean, technically, he gave me the money for my gun, so I paid for that.
Very different than handing you a firearm.
How is it different? If you're literally, he gave him the money to go do it, versus them going to buy it with their money.
Because he's an apologist.
I was selling drugs for my dad, so
Anthony's an apologist.
All I'm saying is that is going to open the floodgates for them to come after gun rights even more. I'm just saying, you want parents to be held accountable. I teach my kids how to shoot. So let's say my kid decided to go pick up my weapon, and there were videos and photos of him handling my gun. Then you're going to hold me liable because you see my kid on social media shooting.
If your child has no pre-issues or anything at the 15-year-old, we're not talking about like, he gave an 18-year-old adult. It's if you have a 15-year-old that shows zero signs of mental health issues, zero signs of the chance that they might be like, oh, look at that kid, he looks like a school shooter.
Zero mental health issues.
So if you had zero leading up to it, zero perception, perspective that could happen, and bam, you've been shooting with your kid. Everybody said the kid was a good kid, etc., and they went nuts. Then no,
so it has to do with a reputation of like
that's the definition of negligence. So if you know that you can prevent something, when you are looking at it's a negligible situation. It is negligence by the parents when they can.
It's negligence by the school that have this kid come in and let him go.
I was probation, and they even told on me for having a gun, which I didn't have that day.
Who told on you for having a gun?
Some guy that got mad because he was getting kicked out of school because he was trying to fight me in the middle. So it was a lot of drama, but he snitched at me for apparently having a gun as well. And of course, the school believed me, and so they searched all my shit. I'm on gang probation, so of course, like guns, I've had guns even before I got it legally.
So on top of the sentiments that I'm providing, the law does not allow a 15-year-old to have a gun that the parents were giving for a birthday.
Christmas, not birthday.
Christmas. Jesus' birthday. So for Christmas, they're giving a gun, which they are giving it to him weeks early because clearly that's probably the reason why the kid got screwed up. He has to get everything early. But regardless, so let's ask the question. If it is against the law.
Okay, so hold on. So we're just appealing to legality. You're just appealing to authority?
What does that matter?
Yeah, why do we care about that?
Well,
Kevin and I definitely don't care about that.
Why do you care?
Why do we care about laws?
No, that's not what we're saying. So like how you're framing the question is only based on like how the law is. Well, based on are you asking? Here's what I'm asking you. Are you asking us based on what the law currently is or what the law should be?
I'm basing it off of two things. I believe that there is negligence there. And second off, the law currently in the state of Michigan is that a 15-year-old is not allowed to have a pistol. So there's 2 strikes against him because I do believe it can be argued as negligence by the parents, knowing that they have a mentally ill child and giving him a firearm. And then on top of it.
Why do you say mentally ill?
Because they admitted it.
That he was literally being called into the office.
It sounds like that's the case. Their job.
If that's the case, and anybody,
my mom was able to sue the school when my brother ended up bringing a knife to school. So that's
I did too.
So it's like, when are we going to start putting the blame on a little bit of the school? I mean, yes, we got to put some blame on why the parents weren't more involved. But at the end of the day, we can't forget that these schools are raising our kids to be ingrates.
And I'm not saying it's about the parents being involved. I'm saying the parents making an active decision to buy a gun for a child that they are not even paying attention to. And I agree that the school has an issue. So what? There's children dead because the parents made
No.
Could
he's
the child
15, he's
make
15 years old.
Tyler,
buddy.
could the child have gotten a gun without his parents buying it in that instance?
Could he via the law?
If he wanted to kill people, could he have? That's the question.
Sure. He could have.
And
obtained
the person that he got the gun from, would they be liable?
The person that he got the gun from, would they be liable under current law?
Yes, they would.
That doesn't make it right.
But he's asking under current law. If you're asking under current law, sure, they would be liable. But the problem where we're talking, so my point is here is that, like, once you are a moral agent, then you're a moral agent. You're anything that your parent, like, what you're telling me is that once you reach moral agency, which I believe is like at the age of like 8 to 10, based on like multiple studies, that's usually around the time when you know the difference between what right and wrong and can be held accountable for the actions that you commit. So after that age, you understand, generally speaking, that this is wrong or this is right. So yes, I would place that fault or that responsibility at the feet of that individual. Even if the individual was 11 years old, I would place it at that 11-year-old's feet. Now, if there's some other type of some circumstance as to how I could hold the parent responsible, sure, but you haven't really told me anything in this case that would make me believe so.
I would not. If he stole it, to be clear, I would not hold the parents liable. I think it's very.
That's what he did. He effectively stole the gun.
That's what he did.
No. Yeah, if it's his gun, I guarantee you the parents said, "Hey, you're not allowed to take this to school with you."
That's called hearsay.
You can't. That will not work in court.
Yes, and you know what else will not work in court is saying that these parents are liable for this, because they're not. The kid had his own decisions to be made. And if you're going to ask the question,
that they bought the firearm for him, and they allowed him to go and practice shooting it.
They didn't know he was going to be this crazy.
They allowed him to have access to it without their supervision.
They did not know.
Also, what parent looks at their child going, "You're going to murder some kids someday"?
The person who did look at him and said that was a school counselor who let him go with a gun in his bag.
Don't get me wrong. The school is just as much liable. The school is super liable too. But the parents need to be held liable because they are not protecting the firearm from a kid that they knew has a problem. Because even the parents were texting this son before he shot a single person and said, "Don't do it." They knew what this kid was going to do.
Because the school told them what he was going to do.
See, I don't know any of these things with this case, so I haven't really looked into this case, so I'd have to do more research on this.
The school said, "Hey, we just got word that this kid is going to be fucking crazy, but we let him go." And the parents were like, "Oh shit, he's going to grab the gun," and told him not to do the shooting. It's like saying that Donald Trump is liable after he said, "Do not go to the Capitol. Do not protest this." Is he liable then because people went into the Capitol and protested?
If he would give them pitchforks and things.
Yeah, if he told them.
No.
He said to go peacefully.
Suni, go ahead.
Right. They didn't give it to him at the time though. So it's like, it's not like they were like, "Well, here, you got a gun," and then all of a sudden he went.
And I think this is a worthy fight in court. I think it could go either way. Suni, go ahead.
I don't know. I think we're treading on dangerous grounds here when we want to put parents involved in these situations. That puts parents like me involved. You kept bringing up the fact that he's mentally ill. There are so many things that are deemed you mentally ill. That's a slippery slope. We don't even need to add that into the situation because someone could deem me into mentally ill simply because I suffer with anxiety. It doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to carry a gun or that I don't have enough common sense to know, hey, I'm not going to take this to shoot somebody. At the end of the day, his parents are not responsible for his actions. He did this. and he needs to be held accountable
100%
for what he did.
You're saying
it's
50%.
a slippery slope. You're adding a parent into this when these people had no clue he was going to go shoot up a school. They didn't give him the gun to say, "Here, go shoot this school." So at the end of the day, they're not complicit in any way, shape, or form.
They're already going to suffer from him going to jail and have to.
Yeah.
So if you're under the age of 18, so 17 and younger, you can literally do anything and kill someone.
What
are you talking about, bro? The
reason why I say that
is so hard with you, bro. Like, what? What are you talking about?
The reason why I say that
is, ask it again.
So when you are under the age of 18, you are only held to yourself as responsible, but not because your parents have raised you in a certain way. So you are what?
So charge every teenager that's committed a crime and say their parent didn't do what they were supposed to do.
So what I'm saying, because
charge every parent. My bad.
I was always taught that my parents are responsible based upon my actions until I became an adult. My parents will have to address that.
I don't believe that.
No.
You don't believe that?
No, you're just telling me what you believe in and what you were taught. And
correct.
To be
fair,
that's
what we're all doing
on the show.
Yeah, but to be fair, just because you were taught that doesn't mean that it's correct. You're just saying you were taught that.
Morally,
that's where a belief system comes from. That's where we're all. That's why I just said that this could go either way in a court of law. There was enough to get them arrested. And
you haven't logically,
absolutely,
like Casey, like when you just say this is the way that I was taught, that's not a logical argument. You're just saying, oh well, I was taught this way, so the way it must be.
You don't have to abide by laws.
In theory, my whole family should be charged with hate crime.
That's what I'm saying. Every
you need to logically back up your assertion, like your claim.
Every parent.
So I need to logically back up. Okay.
Every
do you
parent
think that you don't need to logically back up your claims.
Let me answer that real quick, Suni, and then you can go. Tyler, the same reason that you guys are saying we shouldn't have to follow laws, that because we disagree with the state law because of our belief on the Second Amendment, there's still a law. That's what we say all the time. When people are robbing and stealing and looting, well, it's still law. If it is a law, then you actually have to have a logical argument on why it's not. But it is. You have a belief on why it shouldn't be. You have a belief that based on what your feelings on the Second Amendment, and I don't disagree necessarily with you. I'm saying that it is still just all of our comments are based off of a belief system. Casey's belief system comes from where his opinions come from his belief system.
No,
I believe every individual is accountable for their own actions.
Yeah, so here's what it is. So Casey didn't logically back up anything. He just said, I was taught this way, so therefore it must be right. And second thing, what you were talking about is this would be two different I guess like opinions that you would hold. So you would say, okay, well, based off of current law, should this person be convicted based off of this tyrannical law that that we are talking about? Sure. And then there's like, okay, now based off of actual like objective morality, should this person be charged? And then we can go a different way. That's fine as long as you're differentiating between the two. That's fine. That's my point here.
But so under current law, they shouldn't be charged.
Like when we're talking about laws, let's go ahead and talk about that. Do the laws mask the entire country, or do they change state by state?
Well, shall not be infringed sounds pretty universal to me, but apparently governments don't obey that.
The laws are passed. You're held by current laws that sit within your state, right?
Well, no, you'd have to be specific to like this.
Shall not be infringed, then that means Kyle Rittenhouse should have never been prosecuted or received any charges at all.
Agreed, 100%.
So why was he sitting in court? Why was he sitting in court?
Because people you have kangaroo courts.
You have a process that you need to follow, correct?
No, because people weren't following the law. I already answered you.
No.
So what's the supreme law of the land, Casey?
No, there isn't one. Each state makes their own law.
No. There is a supreme law of the land.
Don't go backwards now. Hold on. We're going based off of like your framework because you're talking about laws. So what is the supreme law of the land?
The supreme law of the land. Are you talking about the Constitution specifically?
Ding, ding, ding. Yes, I'm talking about the Constitution.
So when we're talking about the Constitution,
any law that comes after, so it cannot conflict or contradict the Constitution, right? So if the United States Constitution says that your right to bear arms shall not be infringed, any state, any local government, anything that would say, okay, well, we are going to go against this, then that is that is a law that does not need. Okay, hold on. I gotta say this for the NSA listening. for the government listening. I'm just saying in this hypothetical world, like not actually in like the world we're living in, but that would not have to be a law that should be followed or is a legitimate law because it contradicts the supreme law.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but you have to go to court to argue that, right? And you have to actually go through the process to do that.
No, we shouldn't have to go to court for that.
But you have
Texas,
to.
let's
I'm
look
not
at what happened
arguing
in
should
Texas.
you or should you not. I am saying, do you have to?
Okay, but why do we have to?
Because that's
It's a
the
violation.
current process. And
Because
especially,
not everywhere.
let me finish. Especially when we're talking about a blue state like Michigan, you're going to have to follow those processes. And those blue states are going to push you through that. Here in my state in Utah, no way in hell. Like it's going to get thrown out quickly.
Casey, all you're doing is appealing to authority every
Can
single
I pose-
time.
can I pose a question?
You're appealing to legality, and then every time that I'm so your local law does not supersede the Constitution. So if you're going to appeal to legality, then fine, I will appeal to legality as well. But my appeal to legality, the Constitution supersedes your appeal to legality.
So Tyler, if you're pulled over, and you don't believe you should have been pulled over. If you're pulled over,
DWB.
And you don't believe you should have to show an ID, but it's a very simple act just to make things easy because, he's actually right. The police officer is right in that county, that city. He's allowed to ask for your driver's license. Do you comply? Because technically, constitutionally, it's a question, but by state laws, city laws, and by the jurisdiction, he's allowed to do it.
It depends, right? So it would depend on that very specific circumstance. And if I'm feeling gully that day, or if I'm not feeling gully that day, I'd have to weigh like what are the pros and cons and the risk to me, right? So it would really depend. Now, if somebody like pulled me over, some cop pulled me over, he's like, just get out the fucking car, get out the fucking car. I know who you are. Get out the car. At that point, I think that it is very unlikely that I would obey with what he is saying.
Let me put it another way. Do you think it is okay for a cop to initiate violence upon me if I refuse to give him my ID?
Correct.
No, absolutely not. There's
so you're appealing to a law. This is what the question comes down to. Do you think something being a law makes it just?
Oh, no, this was an issue of a lot of different perspectives, and I provided reasons on both. Based on the law, the parents were breaking the law. Based on my opinions of shitty parenting and really bad decisions, I also, based on my opinions, think that they're breaking the law, and I think it will be tried into court of law.
Based on your interpretation of the law, because I've listened to about 20 hours of actual legal analysis on this through various different lawyers on YouTube, which are great, Good Logic, Ricada Law, whatever. These guys have actually been talking about it. They can't find the actual legal precedent that would allow for this. So on a legal level, it is purely politicized. It is very clearly politicized with the desire to get the legal standing of
Yo, I'm so sorry. I'm looking at this comment. Yo, can you throw that comment up on the screen? Tracy Gordon's comment. It's such a cringe-worthy comment.
Just be clear. The crazy thing about law,
she's being sarcastic.
Criminals don't give a shit.
Oh, okay. I hope she's being sarcastic.
She's being sarcastic.
Yeah, okay.
Sarcastic.
That made my blood pressure go up, boy.
She's a very avid listener of the Liberty World too.
Right,
so
cool.
But what I'm arguing with, what your argument is that even legally speaking, no, your interpretation of it is the actual legal interpretation is that he is responsible for his actions. You cannot hold someone else like the parents liable, especially when you had professionals in between the two. You had a third-party professional, a guidance counselor at that school who who is professionally trained on this and was actually the one that has professional training that would deem them potentially liable for this. And they were the ones that allowed this to continue. They didn't take the steps they, as professionals, should have. The liability goes to the professional.
So where does the parent's responsibility end? Because we could also talk about this in the instances of, we clearly talk a lot about child trafficking. We clearly say that a child is a child. Now, I think this child made an adult decision, but that's my opinion. I think there is a place that people can fight the fact that he is 15 years old. But when we talk about sex, a minor having sex with an adult or whatever, they're not allowed to make that decision. That decision wasn't made for them. It's considered statutory rape. So the laws can get very, very, very muddy. And I apologize. I'm a person that believes in law. And again, I understand that there's some that I disagree with, but until we have been saying this for the last year and a half, until you can get legislature to change the law, follow the fucking law. Like that's part of what makes us a country.
There is a big difference.
So what you're saying is just comply.
Yeah,
I'm actually.
That's so cringe. That's so cringe.
Anthony, there's a big difference.
You've never heard me say do not comply when it comes to the V mandate. I literally say resist. I say there's a resistance, and I say stand by your moral ground because it's not against the law. There is.
But what if a state says it's a law? How is it against the law if the state says it? Right? There's got to be some level of law that you're appealing to. On the based on the Constitution, it's illegal. Well, I know based on the Constitution, it would be illegal for them to make a church illegal. But if a state does that, does that mean that I should comply even though it's unjust?
So here's
we're trying to figure out if you're complying with state law or complying with like the supreme law.
But that's the thing. There's that we have it is 2021. We have had amendments. We have had
what is the 10th Amendment?
Laws. I don't have the amendment.
The 10th Amendment states that all responsibilities not herein delegated to the federal government is therefore given to the states and the people as fit.
I think the Ninth Amendment is actually like more base, where it just talks about there are rights that are
not enumerated within this document.
Not even enumerated in this document.
So should we just completely end state laws that we disagree with? Should we get to choose exactly?
Yes, based. Yes, based. Let's go.
We don't
anarchy
have a
today.
Society for that.
This is why the question with what should be law and what shouldn't is: am I willing to kill this person to stop them from doing it? If your answer is no, it should not be a law, because when you make something a law, you say it's okay to initiate force against it. Do I think someone should have force initiated against them because they refuse to provide an ID? No. Do I think somebody should have force initiated against them because they refuse to use a turn signal? No. Do I think someone should have force initiated against them because their son went off on his own and shot some other people? No.
But you're literally leaving all the details out. The son didn't just do it. Suni, you haven't talked in a while. I know you want to hear your opinion.
I was just going to say, everybody in the comments is wanting Suni to talk. Suni's always free to talk. She'll speak when she wants.
She's a grown woman. She can talk.
Guys, we don't need you commenting and telling her when to speak. Suni, do you have any comments?
No, I think I'm actually surprised that a lot of people are willing to go against certain amendments as far as like state laws. This is a slippery slope. It's like opening Pandora's box. Everybody who's a 2A person, I'm completely baffled as to why anybody who believes in the 2A would ever want parents charged for what this idiot decided to do. I don't give a shit if he's 15 or 16. What you did was idiotic. Okay, we need to be very realistic with children. I have 3 of them. I don't do that coddle shit. If you mess up and you did something, you're responsible. You're not going to make me responsible for your shitty decisions. And he made a shitty decision, mental illness or not. There are so many people suffering from mental illnesses that don't go out and commit crimes.
I should have said red flag, Suni. Go ahead. Not just mental, just red flags that the kid was a psychopath.
It's his responsibility. He did it.
But my family did do a lot of gang member type shit, and out of my grandma's house, mind you. So wouldn't that mean we would have to charge my grandma as well? Because she definitely knew we were doing shit, but it's like she worked a lot.
Sure.
So that would mean we'd have to charge my grandma too.
It depends. Honestly, if you really want my answer, it honestly depends. If it was just she worked.
She knew. No, she knew.
No.
I get the SWAT team hit my grandma's house 3 times.
No, I'm not saying there's a difference in my opinion between I knew and say your grandma said, Jelani, you're 15 years old. I know you're a gangbanger. You got some troubles, but here is your brand new block.
How do you know that's what happened though?
I mean,
everybody here is speculating as to if the parents actually said, "Hey, we're giving you here's your gun." How do we know the parents didn't say, "Look,
it's in the court trial"?
She literally said it.
It's in
court. Can I finish? I'm gonna listen to what you guys have to say, but geez, go ahead. This is why I've been quiet, because when I do speak,
Go
I
ahead.
got a plethora of people speaking over me. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Suni.
Go ahead.
I said.
You
finish.
answered my question. Go ahead.
Okay, so the answer was she had said it. Like they had talked about it. There was messaging between the parents and the kid talking about the gun, how excited they were to give the kid the gun. And Jelani, to answer your question again, if your grandmother handed you a gun as a gift, knowing that you were troubled, and you killed the neighbor and stole something, killed the neighbor the next day, in my opinion, I do believe. And I think it would actually change things for the better in this country. Because as a responsible gun owner, we are taught all these different things. You go through classes to make sure you're a responsible gun owner. So to me, that makes us look better as gun owners to actually put responsibility on shitty parents. And I don't mean that about your grandma. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if she would have handed you a gun the day that you killed somebody with that gun, yes, I would charge your grandma.
That's insane, bro. This sounds like some Minority Report shit where we're charging people for something before they actually do it. What if he took the gun and didn't do anything with it?
I just said,
how are they supposed to know that he was going to go kill somebody? Prove that in court. I gave this gun to them, and I knew he was going to go do this.
It's if he did it. It's just like a DUI, right?
I would say DUIs are unconstitutional.
Well, some people do.
My brother's on the run right now because 2 accounts of pulling drive-bys, one of which out of an Uber, and 2 home invasions.
Wow.
So
he got an Uber ride to his drive-by?
Yeah.
Where are his parents, huh? Where are your parents at? So
my mom literally went out of town the day that they raided the house, and they found over 10 different types of guns and several of the bullets that one of which is used in that drive-by. So it's like, should my mom go to jail? Because I mean, that's a lot of guns to not know.
No, that could be considered a version of negligence, but that is the difference in what I've been trying to explain. The difference between this case and a specific situation like that. It's shitty and it's probably bad parenting, but it's not illegal. Handing a fucking weapon to an underage kid. The kid should be tried for murder. I'm cool with that. The parents, I do think, serve some responsibility. Now, there's an instance today that is very similar to this thought process in terms of, like you just said, a DUI. A guy was driving a truck and caused an accident in 2019, whatever it's called, a semi, and plowed through people. He ended up getting the minimum is 20 years, I think upwards of 125 years because he killed so many people. He was not on his phone. He was not doing anything like that. He literally, he was going over the speed limit, lost control,
That happened here in Colorado.
Yeah, chose not to take a ramp, and then ended up plowing and killing a bunch of people. Now, to me, that is an accident. And that, to me, could actually be argued in a lot of ways like, oh, God, that's setting a precedent of somebody making a bad life decision in a split second.
If I know exactly what happened because I've come down that I-70 corridor down that hill. Any truck that bypasses those freaking runoff lanes, any truck that does, the truck knows, right? And they know to drive freaking slow coming down that. So that is what's called negligence, right? That's called negligence. When you are operating the thing yourself, and the thing you are operating is what fails to be due to your inability to take the steps you could have taken as the operater. Yeah. Here's the thing. The parents
you get laid off just for doing shit like that, regardless of it being an accident. So you should go to jail for that as well.
Yeah. But do you think his parents should be responsible because he killed some people?
No, but should the trucking company? No. However, if he had warning after warning after warning and doing the same stuff over and over again, repetitive behavior, and he was a danger, then in that case, I do think the trucking company should be held liable.
Yeah, because you don't have a right to drive a truck. I mean, that's a privilege.
And there's restrictions. Same with owning a gun as a 15-year-old in the state of fucking Michigan.
No, owning a gun's a right, man. Owning a gun's a right.
Driving a car is a privilege.
Hold on. Yeah, we're about to get into this. I think this is very unbased anarchism here. So you're saying driving a truck is not a right?
I say that driving is not necessarily a right to drive.
Driving I don't think anybody. Right?
Let me rephrase that. I don't think the state has the right to tell you not to drive.
So then,
but I think liability is determined by the fact that if you are repeatedly demonstrating an inability to operate the vehicle, the people that are harmed have the right to come after you for damages. That is different than saying I think the state has a right to limit that. I do not.
But the act of driving, am I aggressing on anyone?
No.
Okay, so then it's a right I have.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. What I
Let's
guess what I mean,
go.
what I meant with that, because I wasn't thinking about the state. It's not whether the state has the right to tell you that. It's about liability in this instance, right?
I knew you were gonna get it as soon as I like broke that down because I know that you're ANCAP and based. So
yeah, no, I need to rephrase. It's about liability is different than criminality. Cool. Just for people to know, liability is about do you owe people reparations for what you did.
So here's where my stance is, and this is where I'll end it from my part, since I brought up this topic. And Eric is hitting the nail on the head here. Is liability depends entirely on the knowledge of individuals involved. And these parents knew this kid should not hold a weapon and should not possess one because it is also illegal within his state. And they did not make sure that it was protected. And he was troubled, and he went and shot up a school. So I'm not saying they deserve murder.
What do you mean troubled?
Troubled? He's drawing pictures of people dying in classrooms. That's
what was the time frame between that and
shooting up the school?
Hours. So he did that hours before shooting up the school. So if the parents had given it to him the day before, they would have had no evidence that he was potentially going to do these things.
No, they knew he was troubled before that.
Yeah, hours before they knew, not the day before.
They knew prior. Why do you think that they sent him a text saying, don't do it 15 minutes before he shot the first person at the school?
Because the school had called him and said, hey, we brought your son in because he was displaying these fucking behaviors.
No, they were there. They did not call him.
I'm going to end this conversation because this is actually the biggest point, and this is what's going to be ordered in a court. This is what's going to be argued in a court of law. Did they give him the gun to shoot up the school, or did he steal the gun to make the choice too? If they can, it's going to be how they prove the transfer of power of the gun. That is exactly what's going to make it whether or not the parents will be convicted or whether it will not. Was it handed to the child, or was it something where they're like, this is going to be your gift? If they can prove one way or the other, that to me is where it's going to end. I want to get back to free.
Wouldn't the text message prove that enough? I mean,
the text message is still, again, there's more to it. The text message comments on how she's giving the gun. There's going to be more to it. And it sounds like, based on the mound of evidence, is that it is clear that the mom, did everything to shove the gun in her child's hand. That's what's going to be done. This is free speech. It's interesting. Yeah. And I think we all have, it's interesting. We have a slush range of opinions on it. But but free speech, I think we're pretty much on agreement on it, as you can see. Sorry about my camera. As you can see, there's a lot of gray areas as you go. So then here's another question. We talked a little bit about harassment, and I want to call on you on this one, Sudi, because I know what's happening to you. I think it's fucking bullshit. And I think the fact that you're being doxxed and harassed, is that illegal? Where does that fit into free speech?
Is it illegal to harass people?
Yeah.
Yes, it's illegal to harass people.
Hold on, Suni, before you go into really explaining that, before you get into it, can you please let us know if you feel like you're being harassed because you're black, or do you think that
you're blunt, man.
Well, I'm pretty sure black dudes are the ones doing it. I'm pretty sure it's what's face. But regardless,
it's harassment. I don't want to interact with you, and you are forcing me to interact with you, which aggresses upon my right to say no. I don't want to interact with you. So is that harassment? Yes. Do they have the right to say what they're saying? Yes. I'm not trying to stop them from saying what they're saying. What I'm trying to stop them from doing is bothering me. Leave me alone. You don't have the right to pester somebody. You have the right to do whatever you want to do with your mouth and your words. Cool. But leave me the fuck alone. It's as simple as that.
So doxing. See, and again, I'm with you. I think I believe in it a slightly different way. Harassment and doxing, I think, are a no-go because I think they can become dangerous. It's like stalking. Sure. Stalking is actually
a weapon out here. It's a weapon. They use it out here as a weapon.
Yeah,
that's like one of their.
Well, how are you defining doxing?
Doxing is providing somebody else's information where they live, where people can find them.
Kind of like blackmailing you to silence.
That's like publicly available.
Are you saying that you think that should be illegal to say where someone lives?
Yes.
No, they're
who the fuck is Eric Peterson? Who is that?
Eric. You don't know who Eric is? That's easy.
I don't know. So that's easy. That's a dumb comment. Harassment is not fucking free speech.
So that it's not a dumb comment. That's what I'm asking. That's why we're trying to. What is the differentiator?
But I just explained it.
Use it as a weapon. I mean, okay, you post my shit on there. Okay, whatever. Nobody does nothing about it. Whatever. My shit's up there. Okay, I can like get it down. But if you post my shit up there, intent of somebody doing something to me, I mean, that's what they do. Like they're posting our shit up there for us to either get fired or for somebody to do some kind of harm to us or to do some protest outside of our houses. I mean, I've seen it countless times on both sides, mind you.
Yeah, getting you fired for what? If somebody uses what you say to get you fired, that's theft. That's an actual aggression upon you.
That's defamation.
hang on.
So like we would agree on that.
I mean, but that's what doxing is doing.
Not disagreeing with you.
Hold on. I actually do. If we're talking about just doxing as just providing where somebody lives or where somebody works, just that act in and of itself, I would say is not a form of aggression. Now, if you take that information and then say, well, now we need to get her fired by doing X, Y, and Z, that's what I would
essentially what is going on with all the doxing. That's what's going on. I've know guys that got flyers made, literally calling them like horrible names, and it's posted all over their neighborhoods and shit.
Right.
Like this stuff is happening, and like they have a name.
So when we're talking about doxing, so Kevin, this is a question for you, since you had a little bit of a different stance there. But when we're talking about doxing and these actions, if your motive or if your position on the internet is actually providing your stance and actually making money and your income comes from that, and you get fired because you get removed from a platform, is that the same as you getting fired from an organization?
Are there alternative platforms that I could choose to do business on which would not lead to me being fired, which would not lead to me getting in trouble, which, if this is my revenue stream, I think it's very irresponsible of me not to diversify in such a way where I would be able to do it, because I'm choosing to use Facebook. I'm choosing to use YouTube. Sure. They have the right to knock me off or not. Now, if you want to talk on a more moral sense, because they take subsidies, therefore, do they have the right, if I pay taxes that are then used to subsidize them? No, at that point, I don't think they have the right to boot me off. But at that right, that's an entirely different conversation. Are they actual government actors at that point?
Right. Not to mention just like all the community guidelines and like the contractual agreement that you have with them. If I didn't actually violate the contractual agreement, right. So like that's another thing. You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. So, if they just choose to do it arbitrarily, that they owe me something, and I should be allowed to sue them to get compensation. But they are not supposed. I cannot force them to continue to host me, but I can get from them my just dues. That's how the system's supposed to work.
I agree with that.
Okay. So that was my next direction, was to go into that. But I want to, Tyler, you straightened up your message pretty good, because I was going to call you out, because technically what we were just talking about is the way that we were commenting on doxing not being, being threatening because it could cause somebody else to do harm. That goes right back onto the gun argument we just had. So you cleaned up the message, Buntman, to stay very consistent, and I'm going to be consistent as well. I think doxing can bring harm to people. I think that's the world we live in. I do think there's nuances to law and the Constitution. So I think doxing is not protected under what I now believe is very wide range.
But this is so just like what you're saying, I find is to be like so vaguely dangerous. So when you said, it could bring harm to people, I could come up with so many things that could bring harm to someone, but that doesn't necessitate that it would bring harm.
So giving a gun to my 15-year-old child, I mean, granted, I don't know their whole backstory, but if I was to give one to my son, to give one to my son, it's not for them to harm somebody. But when somebody's doxing somebody, that's intent to harm. They're like literally wanting somebody to get harmed. I've never once seen somebody dox somebody. It's like, I just doxed you just because it was good for the community. Nothing bad's gonna come out you. Like, no, it's never once been done when you've been doxed. When either the police ain't busting down your door, almost about to murder your ass because somebody did something crazy. And even in the video game world, people do that weird shit.
The swatting is what you're talking about.
Or swatting, yeah. And then or this, when you got guys in Portland and Seattle, all that shit, finding out where you live and having terrible protests to the point where you got to fear for your fucking life. But,
Anthony, do you believe that alcohol should be illegal?
No, not at all.
Okay, do you believe that alcohol could lead to people committing crimes or like doing harm to someone?
Yeah, that's why we have limitations on it. That's why you have the
Just for
drinking age,
driving.
I think is gray. Then you've got DUI. You've got the.
I'm not talking about driving. I'm talking about just being intoxicated. Because there are studies that show like the link between alcohol and aggression.
Absolutely.
Right. So so just by consuming alcohol, it can lead to like an act of aggression on someone else, right?
Absolutely, but it still becomes the choice of that human being.
You don't say.
So
you don't say.
Yeah.
So when they actually,
we agree.
Correct.
Okay, so doxing. Okay, so then doxing shouldn't be illegal because doxing in and of itself is not an act of aggression.
But here's where I'm going to chime in. I do have if I get doxed, I do have the right to treat anyone who uses that doxing as a way to come after me as a threat.
Of course.
And so, but that's the reciprocity of it. It's like that's why it shouldn't be illegal, because I should have the legal right then to treat people who use it as a threat, and that's the deterrence from getting people to actually do it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And just so anybody who's listening in the chat, I am not pro doxing. We're just talking about like legality versus illegality.
We're looking at it.
I think that doxing someone is incredibly shitty, and I think that if you like try to show up at my home trying to aggress upon me, then it's not gonna make out the way that you think it's going to, and it's dangerous. It puts you in danger. So don't do it. So
exactly.
They won't do what you think they're gonna do. They'll probably just pop your tires and shit constantly over and over.
But the act itself of doxing, if we're saying that doxing is just saying, look, this person lives here, that is not an act of aggression. I mean, a lot of people's places, I mean, it's public knowledge. You know,
it is.
Just because you don't know it or know where to find it doesn't mean that's not public knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yep. Your address is pretty public knowledge. Your marriage certificates are public knowledge. Your employment is usually pretty public knowledge, especially if you filed any kind of tax returns. They just that's public. Unfortunately,
it's extremely going out of the way to get it all in.
But just know that if anybody doxes me, I'm going to treat anyone who uses that information to find me and harass me as a threat.
So then the question goes back to Suni, as somebody that is currently being doxed, what is your means of handling it?
There's nothing you can do. Look, if you show up on my doorstep, fuck around and find out.
Yeah, you get that pew pew.
It's a chopper.
Cutie bang.
That's what it is. I can't. There's nothing that I can do.
But
that's why the Second Amendment exists.
You don't have to worry about that.
You don't have a Second Amendment in Japan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Suni, you live in Asia anyway, so who cares?
Even when I do, you step to me, bro. Fuck around and find out. I am not opposed to using my weapon, my hands, or whatever else is around me. Trust me, I know how to throw down.
What are
do
like
I
the
choose
self?
to do it?
Yo, Suni, do you know what the self-defense laws are around there?
No, there's no crime here because people are okay with other people having opinions. They don't go out of their way to bother you.
Japan has
they're mature. They have
would we say it's
good
homogenous?
common sense.
This is a good
it's
question.
A homogenous society.
Well,
to an extent, yeah.
What about
Japan has an amazing culture. They respect everybody.
They're very, very, very racist, and it's very hilarious to me.
Racist where?
This is a really good question because police officers right now are in the crosshairs of society. There has been more police shootings on police officers in the last calendar year than any other year in history, according to the Fraternal Order of Police, their president. So the question becomes right now when there is, if a police officer illegally does something, but they don't get the precious time needed to hear the full story. If somebody puts up their information, is that illegal?
No, I don't understand why people put cops up here. They're humans just like we are. They're civilians. They just work for the state.
But you shouldn't be dumb enough to go to a cop's house.
Say what?
Able to square up. Go fight it. I'm back to blue, but I also back a blue ass whooping too. Like I ain't.
Yo, let's go.
Sometimes I'm just like, I pray the Lord my soul to keep. I'm gonna whoop your ass. But then it's like, okay, I got your back though. I gotta be good. Gotta be a good civilian and do my thing. Here's my license. I got that, Joe Biden. I got one.
I don't know. I it's tough. I mean, we all got mad. We got mad at it, and that'll be my next point, and then we'll wrap with the internet.
Mad at what?
I got mad at LeBron when he posted about the cops.
Because he's a fucking dumbass.
Saved
That wasn't doxing though.
Oh, you mean your next thing?
That wasn't doxing. That's not
that wasn't
doxing.
doxing. It was just he's a piece of shit.
If we had a just society, people wouldn't have gone after that cop because that cop would have had the legal right to shoot people who came upon him because of that message. Like, okay, that it all comes down to action. If LeBron says that and I choose to go out and use that as incentive, I am creating the threat. Therefore,
listening to LeBron.
Yeah, it's like.
That's my opinion.
What it comes down to is individuals are responsible for their own actions, and I have the right to respond to their actions. If they transgress upon me, I have a right to respond. That's what it comes down to.
For sure.
I hate that we've gone to a country though where people have to be forced to respond with force in a situation like that. There's some people that aren't comfortable shooting back.
Like
America.
Look, like people.
There's a difference between like making sure you have a job and working hard and being willing to take a life. That's two very, very different.
There's a reason why the Wild
to get clapped, man.
There's a reason why the Wild West wasn't as wild as they say it was, because everybody had fucking guns up until like 50 years ago. Like, if you look back at the 1300s, you were a dumbass if you went along the trading route with your little oxen cart and you didn't have a sword on you.
I live on Hilltop, Tacoma. I'll probably get doxxed today, but they call it Tacompton. And then even Tecompton calls the Central District, where I'm really from, they call that the Wild West. And that's because they consider kids like how I was, they considered us shooters because we didn't fight. We just shot. We just shoot. So they were like, yeah, you guys are the Wild West.
In 2021, man. Ain't nobody fighting no more.
It's mutual combat. It's fine.
Yeah, it's just mutual combat. I believe in
I personally think we need to go back to the times where people actually... after around and found out, because I think people are very coddled by laws.
Hamilton died.
I'm just saying, though.
No,
I agree, Sonny. I don't disagree with you there, because I think the thing is that everything takes time. We start going back to that place, like Kyle Rittenhouse's all over the world. You keep taking time and time and time. Eventually, 10, 15, 20 years, we might have a more fucking civil society again. People aren't going to be like, you know what, I'm going to go burn down a fucking whatever the hell.
And he was an alleged Proud Boy. Like, what the fuck?
So, the thing that we got to, we just got to remember, make duels great again. If we can do that, we won't have some of the problems we have.
Because then, you know what would happen? People and their feelings would creep in and be like, but I don't necessarily feel like that's right or just. Like, do we really need to do that? I don't think anybody would go back to that. Americans are pussies now. It's just too far gone.
Things take too much time in order to see results. And our country is we are a short attention span country, and things need to change immediately. So I want to actually go to the very core of this conversation, the beginning, when Kevin said how I felt about free speech, and it's best summed up when I looked at Westboro Baptist Church and I looked at all the things that they have said, and I go, God damn my camera.
Is that what you did? You said, I go, God damn it, camera?
So it's the exact same concept is, you know what? I hate what they said. I hate what they stand for. They hate people, etc. It's not illegal. It's not illegal. You're right. It's not. The same way that I talked about Kaepernick in the very beginning. People are like, you can't tell people how to protest. No, absolutely. I can fucking tell people how I believe they should protest and what does and does not work. At the same time, Colin Kaepernick 100% allowed to take a knee during the anthem. That is not illegal. That is not something that should be banned. That is not. But you know what? Coaches can choose not to, or general managers, owners can choose not to hire a person they don't like.
You know what I hated about that is people saying that you're disrespecting veterans. There is nothing more respectful to veterans than displaying and acting upon the rights that we signed up to defend for you. The fact that he was doing it, it's like, you know what? The fact that we're in a country where he can do it says that we did something right.
So does that mean that we can go ahead? Does that mean that we can just go ahead and get rid of the civil rights law because they're telling people who they should and should not hire?
Yes. Repeal the Civil Rights Act.
Yeah, first and foremost, let me ask people. It's like, don't you want to know who the racists are so you cannot do business with them? I don't like that.
Exactly.
Stop hiding these racists. You're hiding the racists.
You hide them. You give them leeway to do what they do.
Thank you for admitting that, because they do hide all the racists. I'm like, why you guys hide? A lot of these dudes is hiding making their little laws, making it so it's easier for them to lie to my face and shit. And I'm like, I can see you're racist. The shit you say is still racist.
Look,
even when you have a smile on your face.
As a greedy capitalist, if I'm starting a business, I want there to be able to business that doesn't hire black people because they're black. Because I'll stand outside their door and pass out nothing but job applications because I'm like, this dude's just completely ignoring an entire
I will put their exact business across the street and I will hire black people, right? And I'll shit on them.
Yeah, bro. Jesus Christ.
Nice.
You'll shit on them. Or are you saying you're going to shit on the black people or the competition?
Both. It doesn't matter. We're doing it.
What do you think I'm hiring them for? Jesus. Anyway,
I'm going to do another hypothetical, and Tyler's going to hate this. If
I like hypotheticals.
If we ended up doing that if we got rid of the Civil Rights Act and all of a sudden there was those businesses that predominantly hired only white people again because they could do what they wanted to, do you think the left would more go to a business, the wealthy left would go to a business with the all white people or predominantly black operated?
They'll go to the ones with the Mexicans.
I have no idea what white people would do or what these. I have no idea. The hell are you asking me, Andrew?
I did that.
No, you want to know what defeated racism? It wasn't the government saying you must integrate. Right? It was greedy capitalists realizing, hey, if I want to win a fucking NBA game, I better start putting black people on the court.
White man can't jump.
Amen, brother.
Hey,
see, you know what?
I can jump.
In this aspect, I'll be a little racist, right? Because I do think that we as black folks are definitely superior to a lot of other races when it comes to athletics. Just saying.
If we want to talk about the eugenics thing,
the Japanese would challenge you on that.
Challenge me.
The whole
Japanese sports that
term.
matter. Where's the Japanese football team, huh?
It depends on like
you
what
got me
form
there.
of athletics. Like it
the-
definitely depends like what type of athletics you're talking about. But if she's talking about, you know,
Because I do think Michael Phelps has the most gold medals of anybody.
The Chinese definitely aren't winning any fucking foot races against us. Like we gotta know that.
When is China winning anything in the Olympics at all?
And I'm just
if it's football, basketball, track, we got that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I'm sorry.
What about drifting?
What about water sports and winter sports?
I played all the sports.
Drifting? Did you just say drifting? No, that is too much of a hazardous.
What you talking about?
That's too much of a hazardous activity.
Kev, we'll give y'all hockey. You can keep hockey.
I'll tell you right now.
You can keep baseball too.
Even coming for domino.
The thing that white people will always win at is beer pong. Period.
Yeah, because only white people's parents will pay for them to be in a frat. Like what the fuck do you mean you need to pay to have friends? Jesus Christ, go make some fucking friends.
Have friends.
There's a black frat boy someplace right now.
That's because while the white people are down there,
I'm asking fraternity of dumb motherfuckers doing dumb shit. I don't know.
Yeah, while the white dudes are there just like playing beer pong, like the black dudes are probably up in someone's like bedroom, like gangbanging like some white chick.
Like that's
They're running a train on Chad's girl. Trust me.
Literally. I don't even like talking about my past because it's so cringeworthy. I'm we didn't respect women at all.
Russo's uncomfortable. He's like, we need to end this now.
He wants to circle back.
I'll talk about circle back all day. I want to circle back because we're over 2 hours.
All right, Saki.
And I want to read,
we ain't swimming.
I run a redheaded here and circle back because we touched on social media banning and shadow banning and removing people's pages. All of us have had stints in the clink. Suni has had pages completely removed. Tyler, pages completely removed. Jelani, pages completely removed. I'm not going to say anything past that.
It's because we're black. It's all right. We understand.
I do think it's subject matter. Sometimes I get why they can see things, but that's a different story.
Well,
but when it comes to like what just like when we can't say words like schmerschmeckten or the V because we are at risk of even more shadow banning or being pulled because I'm super careful about stuff like that because we've been warned about stuff. Fact is, this is why I think it's an issue. Because unfortunately, our country gets its news and its information off of social media. And social media, although privately owned, as we talked about, is subsidized, does work for government, and is publicly traded. and is that's funny. Agree. And is publicly traded. So at one point, does this something that does the government have to regulate it? What actually does? Because I think it's absolute bullshit that we have to fight with people on a daily basis. Why we are so divided is because there is one side of information not allowed to get out.
You want to know?
Go ahead.
We need more innovators. We need more people to invent things and stop being lazy waiting for other people to invent stuff. Somebody create a social media platform where it's actually free. I'm just saying. The government doesn't need to regulate a damn thing. They have shown and proved that they cannot regulate shit. So no, I don't think the government needs to regulate anything. I think the government needs to go away.
If you guys go backwards to exactly when Anthony asked this question, and then he says, "Do you think that the government?" Like Kev's head immediately was just like as soon as you see that, anytime that you say like, "Should the government?" I'm immediately like, "Nope." Nope. You didn't even have to finish the question.
So here's the weird part.
Dope?
So I think the government shouldn't regulate other things. I think the government should put the handcuffs on Facebook and say they have to require free speech.
Why?
Because
they're a private entity.
They are, but they're not. To consider them that, I think, is foolhardy. Because if you look at it, is a publicly traded company for one, and they take government subsidies and they work with the government. I think to me,
how about we just hold people liable for the war crimes they commit? Facebook's not doing anything illegal here in America, but Facebook is absolutely affecting elections in other countries where they're allowing dictators to remain in power. You could probably prosecute them for war crimes, and I would be all for that. But based on American law, they don't need to be regulated on the American side of things, right?
Twitter is now banning people that say that
use something other than Twitter.
I'm just saying, Twitter right now is saying Twitter is saying that they will ban accounts where people say that VD people can spread COVID, even though it is a fact, because they deem that as harmful.
And Jack Dorsey retweeted Anatomy of the State. There is improprieties going on behind the scenes, right?
I got banned on Twitter for telling LeBron James to stop acting like a bundle of sticks. So I don't know what to tell you about that.
Did you say a bundle of sticks, or did you say the other F word?
No, I said bundle of sticks in that order. Okay. It was supposed to be a smart joke. I thought it was funny, but apparently they didn't.
I think that this to me there is a purpose of government, although ours is incredibly shitty. The question is how.
No, I agree. I agree. The purpose of government is to extort its people. I agree.
Yes.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, how do we get how do we allow a country? How do we allow a platform that is the number one? And you could talk about innovation. There's been a million different platforms brought out that just don't work. Because when you try to take that many billion people off of a platform, I'm sorry, the first one there really matters, except for MySpace, because they didn't innovate. Facebook is innovating all of the time. It is impossible to fully get people off. And what do when people start leaving? They're younger. They buy Instagram. It's incredibly difficult. TikTok's done a great job. However, who knows exactly where all that information is going. So when the main means of information, and TikTok is far from free speech, so when all this main means of information is controlling a narrative in this country that is creating division, how do you stop that?
Yeah, but to be fair, I think it's just really based off of, kind of like what Sunny was talking about being an innovator. I never thought, when MySpace came out, I didn't think that there was going to be something better than MySpace. And then Facebook came out. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, this is pretty much what it is. And then, Instagram came out. And I was like, okay, so pictures and videos, okay, cool, we're done. And then it went to, Vine. And then after Vine, you got, Musical.ly. And I was, and then it's, TikTok. And then I'm like, okay, so, I'm pretty certain that there is going to be some other thing that is going to come out, whatever that next thing is.
These things aren't permanent.
I do agree with you, though, Anthony, if you're saying being the first one there definitely does matter. I would agree. But yeah, we're just waiting on that next thing. And I've seen a lot
Facebook could buy it.
I've seen a lot of these social media things fall and not be great. Even Trump's thing, or not Trump's thing, but Trump's advisor or whoever who released that whatever. That was trash. Yeah, that shit was trash too.
Garbage.
So Yeah.
It's
I
just-
mean, on TikTok, I've seen so many people have so many different accounts. So it's like even being the first one there, I mean, yeah, you're going to have that account probably, but then it's going to end up getting lost right after they end up making their new community standards because there just wasn't enough regulations.
TikTok's doing a great. TikTok is an outlier that came in, but the problem is Facebook is so big. So MySpace again did not innovate. Facebook got so big, and the fact that they have so much money makes it impossible to.
Wait, Anthony.
What?
So you're telling me that this government that has a Fed that is out of control, is clearly super partisan, and has a deep state that is actively working against the people, is historically doing everything it can to maintain its power, should be trusted to tell companies what is and isn't allowed on their platform speech-wise?
No. I know. I should be clear. I'm saying, what is the answer? I said, can government? I said, could government handcuff Facebook? They never will because they love what Facebook is doing. They love the division that it's creating. What's that, Tyler?
There doesn't need to be an answer here. So, like, is your question that, like, how do you stop them from getting so big? Like, is that what you're asking?
I mean, that could be a direction. My question is, how do we? It's literally a very broad country of a broad question of how do we fix the country? Because the biggest problem is the fact that we have suppressed information, and we have suppressed factual information for the governmental greater good or the leftist greater good or whatever side you want to call it, or for the big pharma good. And we've been squashed over and over and over. And that's one of the big things that I talk about on this platform is, again, essentially the medical freedom side. The medical freedom is shut down because we have a bunch of people that are backing down or complying with the government because they feel as though the government is in the right. You know what? They're protecting us. They're protecting us. Why do they feel that way? Because the information that they're seeing on social media is incredibly biased, and it's much harder to find a platform like yours, Tyler, like Jelani's, like mine, like Suni, like everybody here, even though we are speaking as close to truth compared to the sides that aren't.
So
why don't we have Rumble set up?
So I know where a lot of where Kevin's coming from, because I felt the same way for a very, very long time, is use capitalism against itself, right? Take your money and your business somewhere else and go against them, right? My bigger problem we have when it comes to this social media issue that we have is there is a major monopoly there, and their best friends, Apple and Google, when someone created another platform that actually challenged them and had an extreme amount of growth, Google and Apple just shut them down and stopped their growth.
That doesn't sound like a monopoly. It sounds like an oligopoly.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
And they're able to do these things via federal government involvement. Why is Facebook or why is Amazon able to expand the way it is? Because it weaponizes the government to institute things like minimum wages at different costs. They use subsidies. They use the government to get big. The problem is the government. The problem isn't like you can't fix a problem created by government by adding more government. Like,
no, I agree. No,
I agree with you.
Yeah, so
I agree with you. So what is our solution?
If you agree with us,
yeah,
then why are you saying that we should still have government if you agree with us?
Then
no,
I think there is a purpose of government. I think our government is so beyond broken. I think our government. So our constitution formed the government.
So anyway, so what I'm saying is I don't want to advocate for any more government regulation. I really don't, because I don't see that's productive at all. But there needs to be some leeway that you can allow some freedom of people to create a platform and it be promoted equally with these other platforms.
Rumble is growing big.
Rumble is really big. Hold on. Are we under the impression, Kevin and Suni, that there is no purpose to government?
Is there a purpose? I mean, I think once upon a time it was, but at this time, point in age,
that's my fucking point. Is good government actually does something for its citizens?
A good government protects its people's rights. It doesn't infringe on its people's rights. A government exists to protect rights, not to infringe.
Yeah.
But there's still a creation. So the people
Sounds like that would be an infringement on a private company's right to do business as it sees fit.
Okay, the point of what I'm saying is if the government in the very beginning was created to actually allow the people to govern themselves, and when something was broken, things like monopolies, things like what's going on with Facebook, I wish the government was an entity that could actually fix a problem. They're not as they are. So
What was the original?
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm gonna say this and then I gotta dip because we got an Instagram live.
Cool.
It's been over 2 hours. Jeez.
I know.
Yeah.
Look, government cannot legislate morality. They cannot make people do the right thing because we were born with natural born rights of free will. It is what it is. They're not killing anybody. They're not taking. They're not stealing. We are voluntarily using their platforms and their services. We don't have to be on here, but we choose to use it. It is what it is. There is nothing that the government could do to stop Facebook from doing what they do if they so choose.
And they don't have a right to. What it comes down to is, what are the first 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights? They are enumerating the rights that they are limiting what the government can do. They are telling the government, you are not allowed to do this. The people have the right to do this. The reason why the government is broken up between states and the federal government is to make it so that no one government can have the power over the individual. The state will stand in the way of the federal government when it's trampling on its individual rights, and the federal government can step in the state's way when it's trampling on rights. The problem is the government is just taking rights. That's all it ever does.
Agreed. That's why I said this government is broken. There is a purpose to a government, plain and simple.
But would that also mean that we just need the government that bad, including against social media? Like, isn't the point of like less government? So I mean, I don't know.
It's tough. That's why it's a fucking conversation. Is what is the actual place that we get?
Yeah, I feel like people just need to just rise up themselves. Like if everybody feels like these social media platforms are fucking us over, we just need to drop it like we dropped MySpace. I mean, granted, we thought that Facebook was a better option, but I mean, we could still literally go the fuck back to MySpace. I mean,
how do you? This is that whole thing of like, yeah, let's just drop it. So this is how we're gonna end the conversation. Suni, Jelani, if you say drop it, we do. What is the master plan? Because right now we're fucking losing. If you haven't paid attention, we are losing.
Who's losing?
I'm big winning all the time.
Who's losing?
Do you not think
the people that still believe in the government? They're losing.
Every time my platform gets shut down, you guys hear about me even more.
It's the Barbara Streisand
effect. Do you think right now conservatives or people that believe in free speech, free thought, you think they're still winning in the world and in the country?
I think we have a better
you know why? You know why? Because people that called us conspiracy theorists at one point, they're now inboxing me like, what the fuck do I do? There are people waking up all around the world that are now seeing what we're talking about. So no, it's an uphill battle. You're not going to see
you might see the scars, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm feeling
that's turning the tide. I don't know if that's winning in every step you take.
How's not winning?
We are in my opinion, I don't know how you can see us as winning right now, but if you're saying you're starting to get inbox, that's great. Just think if you weren't being suppressed. Just think if your pages weren't being taken down, how many more people would hear what you have to say?
I don't think my message would be as I'm going to be honest. My message would not be as powerful as it is now if I wasn't being censored, shadow banned, and everything else.
Yep.
I wouldn't even have the same audience. It wouldn't exist.
I agree. I think content speaks over look at me for getting banned. I think content speaks over.
It's not look at me for getting banned. It's look, I keep getting banned and I keep coming back and I'm going to continue to tell the truth and people tune into that. It's not, oh, what was me? I'm banned. I don't do that shit. I don't even talk about getting banned.
You did bring up when we talked the other day. You did talk about losing. Like we're losing. You said we're losing the culture war. You said we're losing these different wars. I don't see us as we're not in the driver's seat. We're not winning right now.
We've never been in a driver's seat when it comes to culture. The left has always dominated that. That's a given.
That's part of the whole discussion.
But it's getting louder and louder and louder and louder.
Exactly.
Even kind of slavery. Didn't they dominate the culture of slavery?
Yeah. As it gets louder, it gets
I don't know what it is, but it's like some building tension. We are losing the culture war. And I'm not going back or flipping from what I said. But what I will say is people that are not afraid to speak, are gaining a hell of a platform. I'm getting looks from people that wouldn't look twice at me if I was still simply just talking about Trump and all the things that we were talking about before. I've got invites to go podcast with people that wouldn't even have thought of who I was until they seen, damn, you keep getting kicked off all this stuff, but you still come back and you still have the same message. You're not afraid.
Look,
people are drawn to that.
At the radio station, we're seeing like double-digit growth in listenership, at least on our electric side, because like, what can a radio station offer? I don't get canceled. I am uncancelable on the radio waves.
It's content. It's still at the end of the day content based. And again, I think it's all a conversation.
It's a Streisand effect though, because they ban Sunni and people are like, why are they banning you? They go listen to Sunni and they're like, wait, what she's saying makes sense.
Yeah,
and then
as soon as my walked away started getting shut down, that's when more people started to listen.
Exactly.
Like, so
if that's how it is, then where's Alex Jones right now?
He gets millions of listeners.
Right,
he's on my radio station, and his shit plays on my radio station.
His viewership has been diving quicker than our economy
on these platforms, but outside of these platforms, he's thriving.
Yeah, they removed him from our radio station, and Joe never got more calls than people saying you better put that shit back on your radio station.
You have those loyal people that follow him, but total overall viewers, he is declining super quick.
The way he puts it, he's got like 1 million unique listeners a month.
Whatever he wants. He's claiming that he's a solid guy and he's putting out money bombs and all kinds of stuff. But no, he also claimed that the Sandy Hook shooting was a stage. Was fake.
Yeah, and he also claimed that a bunch of celebrities were flying on a plane to an island to get with little children.
Yeah, that was normal. That was 10, 15 years ago when he was normal.
He was also talking about how the governments are going to conspire together to unleash a pandemic and then use that as an economic reset, using the Great Reset. He was saying that in 2007.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like...
No, there's a lot of accuracy. By the way, last thing I'm going to tell you guys, make sure you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, Dr. Peter McCullough. Before you go, Sunni, this is why... And this is it. This is 2 minutes. I love having this conversation, including Tyler. I enjoyed Tyler the whole time. I know he had to go. I hope that was why he did the Irish goodbye. But I like engaging with people that are going to challenge thought. And why? Because all of us, we pretty much agreed on the free speech side to a point. I had some elements, not as far as Kevin and Tyler, and potentially even Jelani and Sunni. But I have not shown this on a show in a long time. Let's have a reminder of the gold and white or the blue and black dress. Real quick, how many of you guys see yellow and gold? How many see yellow and gold? Raise your hand. Or I'm sorry, gold and white. How many people see black and blue? Sunni,
black and blue? I see blue and gold.
Or sorry, blue. Really? Blue and gold?
I don't see any blue.
White and gold. I see white and gold.
That is actually a legitimate thing. Some people saw blue and black.
It's actually a blue and black dress. Fun fact. So it is a blue and black dress. I see white and gold. The concept behind it is the rods and cones in the eyes see things differently for every single person. Fact is, we all have different reasons of believing something. Casey has his upbringing. I have certain morality things that are different than people. Sunni's got different morality things. She's more based in Bible than I am. She is more based. Tyler's probably more based in the. There is so many different reasons to look at different things. As long as you have an opinion that is rooted in some kind of fact or some kind of feeling, that is where we come from. And again, and not some kind of feeling, some kind of fact. Your feelings have to be backed from certain facts. We cannot change the environment, and that whole picture explains it. So a lot of people see black and blue. That's hilarious. It's all, whatever. So a lot of people see blue and gold, whatever. So the concept is, it is such a close thing, and it all depends on the background of the image. Last time I'll show it up. The background of the image, the lighting, messes with the rods and the cones in our eyes, just like the backgrounds in our lives messes around with the way we see the world. Plain and simple. That's it. Can we end on that, guys?
I'm just going to say Kevin's wrong, but that's okay.
It's because he's young.
I disagree.
Anyways, Thank you guys so much for Truth Will Set You Free. Suni, where can everybody find you right now? I know you're going on IG. What's the current name?
It's right there in my Suni _the_middle_ child.
And then Jelani, what's your TikTok?
Definitely not Jelani. It is definitely not Jelani. Like literally spelled that way. Definitely not Jelani.
Hey, you got to react to that. Those 2 TikToks I put up.
Yeah. I just did follow them.
Love that you're flying under the radar, Jelani. You're flying under the radar. So next time, just say some crazy white boy.
My other account's already made. This time. It's for sure not. It's for sure not Jelani. That one is for sure not going to get found out too.